You guys just want to stew in the containment fears and learn, have more rules on how to contain and create an illusion that you're going to create a bubble of safety. It's just a matter of time.
Well, some information is helpful, right? Like if we change.
We did some. Now we're getting
hands,
excess.
You know, like
so
I want to get backup alcohol.
What's the first item on the agenda, Steve?
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Yeah. Okay.
So it's a good pivot. People are feeling vulnerable, but we're hiding in these. How does this work? And what's the best way? What expert says this and that? And we're all.
How are the narcissists handling this pandemic? Like, what's going through their minds?
Those are the ones who are out partying and drinking and not caring.
No. I'd say those are the ones with all the masks and gloves. They need to be safe. Really.
Stuff. Yeah.
I think also, though, for mine's case, like he hasn't been able to get out and perform music, to get supply. So he's been worse than ever.
They're desperate. I would guess they're desperate without supply. They're antsy.
So they're sort of vulnerable during this period as well. That's what you're saying.
Yes, they're feeling exposed. So they're going to internalize or act out more. There's less options. So they're sort of cornered. So they're going to maybe be more aggressive at either eliciting fights or internalizing with their addictions. Porn, alcohol, edibles.
And I know sometimes we talk about borderlines, right? Like that's why I'm in this group and interested. And so my sister has reconnected with me, which was kind of unexpected. She is a nurse on the front lines, but anyway, she's broken her 2-year freezing me out.
Yep. Okay. They start reaching out because they're desperate.
But they just fall in love with whatever walks by, don't they?
New supply.
Yep.
That's juicier. Okay, so vulnerability of the narcissist. So once we open the topic of vulnerability, guess where everyone's attention went?
What?
What happened after I said vulnerability?
To the narc.
And what was the question? Let's be empathetic to the narcissist vulnerability. Wasn't that the question, essentially?
Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck is that? See, Alex is laughing. We don't hear it.
Just putting attention onto them, and really the attention and focus needs to be on us, and then that stuff won't even matter once we figure our own shit out.
So the attention and focus was on us. And then what we did was we said, masks, gloves, wash your hands. This expert says this. And then how do I order food? Is it danger? We're all finding rules to protect our vulnerability. But then once I open the floor to vulnerability, then the attention's like, oh, how's the narcissist handling vulnerability? What are their feelings?
Yes.
How come the narcissist's feelings matter and your feelings are just, I need more rules?
It's a good point.
Really good point.
So hi there. My name is Janet, and this is the first time that I'm attending this meetup. I know I was supposed to physically join, but haven't been able to. So I'm jumping in.
Welcome.
I'm jumping in right now since you're talking about vulnerability. And I think one of the things that I've been doing through this whole time is just setting some personal boundaries for myself.
How so?
I think just not engaging, kind of being mindful, keeping myself in check, looking for clues, for signals, I should say, not clues, but signals that that things may be transpiring.
signals with other people? What kind of
I don't really want to
things
go
are
into
you
a whole
looking
lot of detail just because I am at home. I'm sorry. I know you're laughing about that, but I am at home.
You opened
so
up the conversation and now
I did.
Can't go
well,
anywhere.
Allow me to finish, but I have children that's in my home, so I don't really want to go into a whole lot of detail with them listening to what I'm going to say.
Okay, well, welcome. Janet's opened the floor about being mindful.
Now that I've been able to step outside, so my adult children don't have to hear me. I believe that I do live with a spouse who does have a personality disorder. I don't want to call him a narcissist, even though that's what I believe. But I believe that it's just so easy to label someone with a personality disorder, and I'm not a professional to say that. But I think going back to what I was saying is keeping myself in check. I can see him working from home. There has been some times where almost like this little nitpicking, like you can see the pattern changing, and there's a fight that's about to start. So that's what I mean about the boundaries.
You're able to spot a potential fight coming,
right?
Which is awareness. Pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm sorry I couldn't really say a whole lot. Like I said, I've got a family at home, and I really don't want them hearing what I'm.
Oh, that's a good opener. That's very precise, and that's maybe more awareness than some of the other members. So you can flow with that, or if you want to add more, jump in. Just
no. That's
try to jump in whenever you can.
Thanks.
So this is a little more pragmatic, so I'm willing to let this go, or flow a little. So if you're living with someone who's agitated, they don't have to be a personality disorder. They could be your kids or anybody. They're reaching out, your sister, 3 years. It's a strange relationship. So people are isolated, lonely, agitated, PD or not, narcissists or not, who the fuck cares? People are getting annoying now. They're picking fights. They want drama. They want to share in anxiety. How do we navigate this when we're stuck at home? Or our responsible people are stuck at home or isolated?
Yeah. Well, I think the awareness helps.
So how do we manage the awareness to the point where we don't freak out with being hypervigilant?
I could give you a million tools on how to coexist in a house with someone narcissistic and how to keep your sanity. Get a piece of paper and pen out.
Yeah, but what was your end result?
I left.
Yeah. How well were your tools
but in due time, it wasn't like I just picked up and walked out. I had to learn how to coexist, and keep it as calm as I could for my kids. And that's not easy to do when you don't want your kids to, although they'll pick up on the energy anyway, it's very hard to, keep a house calm. What?
You don't want your kids to what?
You don't want your kids, suffering the consequences of this toxic house. And you want to minimize the damage as much as you can.
What's that mean?
It means you don't want your kids hearing the fighting, or for me, it was swallowing my tongue and having my kids watch that. So you have to choose.
Let me play the role of,
like, do you want to react or do you want to, take the high road?
So there's two game players. Let's say this is a competition. Stacy and husband.
Ex. We're legally divorced.
Stacy's trying to counter things to keep the house calm. That's her goal, right?
Right.
And part of the goal is she don't want the kids to suffer. So Stacy has an agenda of not letting the kids hear fighting and swallowing her tongue. She openly admits that. Let's assume the ex slowly recognizes that Stacy is attached to this goal.
Yes.
So if I'm the ex, since we don't have him here unless he's hiding, I'm the X and I'm a game player, I have someone in my house who doesn't want to have overt fighting and will swallow her tongue to prevent the kids from hearing it.
He can get
Doesn't
away
it
with
give me an
anything he
upper hand?
wants. I see that.
And wouldn't I maybe exploit that or try to find a way to have fun?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't underestimate the narcissist is a human being, or whoever the other person you're doing. They have eyes.
Yeah.
They see what's going on too. And codependents sometimes show their cards out. So imagine you're playing poker and you just show your 2 cards and you're betting. How well would your bluff go?
A very good point.
So you either, as the second they see your hand, you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Well, you could try to see their hand, so then you both see each other's hand. At least that sort of equalizes it, but me being Chinese, I'm born in deception. So hiding your hand seems like a logical thing to try to do. But let's look at his hand. What would his agenda be? Where would his attention be focused? So then you can at least counter. He knows your hand. What would his hand be? What would his goal and agenda and mental
I know
attention
exactly
be?
what it would be.
Okay.
What?
So for him, his agenda was to do as little as possible, contribute as little as possible, and be able to
slide, escape,
and have me do and have me pick up all the pieces and do everything. That was the way our house worked.
Well, that's not his goal. That's not his game plan. That's not his whole cards.
It was, he's off the hook. He doesn't have to do anything, and I will take care of everything because that's what I do, that's what I did.
That's not his cards.
Okay.
That's the pot of that. You two have cards. Taking the poker metaphor going, are people able to follow?
Okay. So maybe it was to aggravate
You're describing
me.
the pot. You're not describing the cards.
So maybe it was to instigate me enough where I look like the bad guy.
That's more bluffing.
Wouldn't he instigate you to get you to groom you to what he needs?
Yes.
That's more bluffing. That's feinting. So in boxing terms, Carlos, you're a boxer, right? So when the first couple rounds you're jabbing and you're trying to find your distance and find your pace, also you're learning the other person's pace and jabbing patterns. So after you learn the other person's patterns, then you can get into the side and get into their blind spot.
Oh, gotcha. Very good point.
So what you're saying right now is just this sort of feeling each other out. Or what he's trying to do is feel Stacy out to trap her. But that's not his cards.
So what's his cards?
That's why I'm asking you. You don't think strategically.
I know. I know. I'm trying to think.
He's thinking strategically because he's got the goal. You already know what he wants, and he's using his creative mind on how to position himself to trap you. He knows your cards, your weaknesses, and he's got a goal. You have no idea what his cards are.
It makes me crazy.
Because you don't know what his cards are. Got no leverage. Janet,
I know the behavior. I saw the pattern. I see what the intention was.
Yes. But that's not enough.
I know.
Janet,
okay.
You have some magic insights or something?
I just said was providing their supply.
Well, they're looking for supply. So that's part of their pot. They want to win the pot. Or they want to win the fight. Or they want to get a dominance punch out. It's exciting. So yeah.
Is supply itself the agenda or something else?
With more context, you could get the agenda. Supply is a sort of generality.
So can you describe the agenda? Because I still don't know.
Where are you lost? Yeah. So can you be more precise?
I don't know. What I thought was I thought the agenda was to get the supply and also just present as a victim.
Present as a victim, I would say, is a tactic. It's a ploy. It's a feint. So in boxing, you pretend to have an opening, get them to commit, but it's a fake. And then you can go hit a blind spot. Like in football, they have RPOs, they have screen passes. So the quarterback goes back, has a set screen pass. The defenders come in, and right when the defenders come in, there's a little gap behind the defenders. So the defenders over pursue, go for the attack, get the quarterback sack. They have a counter play where they just throw the ball right above the defenders, and there's a hole in the system, and then they get a positive gain. So putting on a mask, playing the victim, that's just a tactic, like screen pass.
So I think I'm struggling with the metaphor, right? Like,
we got football, we got poker,
right,
boxing.
So are
Which one?
Are the cards being played the tactics? Are you looking for behavior? I heard you say strategy. You're like saying like, what's the strategy? People then talk outcomes, and you're saying that's the plot. So is it strategies? Like you're looking for like, what does he do? What do we do?
The cards are leverage. So if you have poker cards,
Kobe's organic.
You got two aces. See, Carlos is working. You got two aces on the, what is that, the flop? I haven't watched Texas Hold'em. You get two aces on the flop, and then you get the three cards that come out, the roll or something.
Ooh, has anybody seen the movie Rounders?
No.
Oh, you have to watch it. It's a poker movie.
We apologize for that. You were probably maybe the 30th case.
Sorry, it was a poker movie. It's really good, and it's a guy movie.
So you have two aces, and that's a high card. Then you get another ace on the three cards, whatever. So you know you have three aces, but other people don't know you have aces.
Yeah.
So you know you have leverage because your odds are that, yeah. And professional poker players play the odds to recognize that this card combo is the highest card combo ever. It's in the top 10% of odds based on the cards. So that's your leverage. Your leverage. But the other person, you don't know what their cards are. Maybe he has like a flush coming or something. So you have to somehow read what their card is, and then you have to work with them trying to read what your card is. But you're a codependent. You just show your card already.
Right.
But you have no idea what his cards are.
Okay, so in my scenario, what was my ex's cards?
That's what I was asking you.
I need to ask you because I don't get it.
How many years of observation? 20? 15,
Are they even
10?
playing by the same rules? Right? Like, so I'm going to talk about a borderline because that's where my experiences are. But like with the friends in my life, they're always willing to immediately blow things up. Like they don't need to mentally regulate. And so the leverage they have is that I tend to want to navigate keeping things calm, quiet. Like they count on us to be reasonable. Like, is that what you mean?
Whoa.
Someone saying hello. Who's saying hello? Okay, I can't keep track. There's like
James is on now.
10, 25 people on here. So Alex, you mentioned a borderline as a tactic of they blow up immediately. And then your sensitive spot, your leverage, something that they can always play. Maybe that's mine. Okay, let's see. Good. So your leverage, or her leverage on you, is that you're too sensitive. So she don't have to blow up. She just has to potentially threaten to blow up, and now you jump through hoops and walk on eggshells. Is that correct? But you still don't know her cards because you're misreading her. So with a borderline, it's not that they're willing to blow up immediately. They're just hyper present. They're hypersensitive. They have third-degree burns emotionally. So anything that you say or whatnot can be misread and amplified by 10.
Wow.
You're using egocentric empathy to say that they have an internal world like you, not recognizing that internal world is different than you, where they're hypersensitive to emotional mood and affect, which you're totally oblivious to. So then it looks like they blow up on anything.
So your suggestion is to monitor and observe the patterns and then come up with a counter strategy for future engagements.
To learn the rules of the game, learn the environment, and then ultimately you want to use empathy on the other person so that you get a hint on what their cards are.
Say that last part again. You want to use empathy on the other person? I didn't hear the rest of it.
You can get a hint, you can get a read on what their cards are. And with narcissists and borderlines, if you just ask them, they'll tell you what their cards are. Actually, they tell you what their cards are, but you guys don't believe it.
What do you mean by ask?
What their sensitive points are.
How do you ask that? You just can't say to someone, what's your sensitive points?
You could do that, but they're already saying it. They've been saying it. They don't hide their cards
What,
either.
I'm insecure? You're
They need
mentally
supply,
stronger
I
than
need
me?
attention, I'm a giant baby. They'll frame it a little more
The baby part I can agree
positively.
with.
Yeah, they'll frame it more positively, but they're going to say, I'm sensitive about this. I don't like being shamed. I constantly need to be the center of attention, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Do they hide that?
No.
No, that's part of their cards. This is really next week's topic. I'm going to try to swing into vulnerability, but it's difficult to talk about vulnerability, especially with codependence. Stacy.
I said, who are you calling a codependent?
No one, just me.
Just kidding.
Okay, so let's switch gears, see if this works. I didn't get a chance to do any visuals. This is addressing the intention question.
Ah, yay. Let's see what you've got.
So number 1, can you read that?
No.
No.
Something invisible to others.
Pain.
Pain.
Pain is invisible to others. This is from this classic book by Harvard professor. It's research on physical pain, torture, mechanisms of how the body reacts under extreme states of pain. And I'll read something to expand on that first point. So you'll have to take your own notes because I didn't make a visual. Is that hard to sink in, or is there initial reactions to the idea pain is invisible to others? How does that fall first to anybody? Any takers?
Makes perfect sense to me because it's difficult to feel what others feel.
No, invisible.
It's not the same.
No, that's a softer version of it. This is actually an argument that pain, your pain, is invisible to others.
I don't agree with that.
Yes, so that's the reaction. That's why.
I don't. I think that.
So I'm going to counter that later.
Pain,
So
I'm
make
going
your
to see
argument.
that.
This starts out as a study of raw physical torture pain. So this is extreme pain where one person is being actively tortured. Their body is being manipulated, mutilated, beat to a pulp, there's scientific research and evidence that that pain is invisible to the other, not only to the other, to the person torturing, it's invisible.
How does that not tie back to what I stated? There's just no way you could feel what they feel. You felt it before you had some idea.
You work to get an idea of it. So that's where I agreed. I thought that you were softening the point.
If that were true, then I think there'd be no reason to go gray rock, because it wouldn't matter. Because you know that some people that are abusers get off on hurting others. They get off on the pain. So then that pain would not be invisible. Maybe it depends on the person inflicting the pain, how much aware they are when they're paying, I don't know what that noise is.
I got it muted. I got a handle. So your argument, simplify.
I think it's bullshit. I think that they're very much aware when they're hurting somebody.
Yes, that's a common assumption. That's why I pointed out.
But even if you're dealing with, like, let's say you're dealing with like a psychopath, and you know that they get off. Look at somebody that is like a rapist. Okay, so it's an extreme example. But everybody knows that the more you scream or cry or fight, that makes them want to do it more, so that they are aware of the pain.
I think, Deef, I don't know.
I don't know why this is triggering me.
Correct me here.
James.
Correct me here, but I interpreted what you said, Deef, about the pain being invisible, that it's not invisible to the narcissist. It's invisible to everybody else. But is that correct?
I would say it's invisible to the pain. At the core pain level, it's invisible. The narcissist isn't feeling your pain.
Right.
They're not.
They're observing you.
But I think
they and cry and whatnot. But that's a visual observation.
Yeah.
They're not feeling your pain.
Right.
They don't know the extent of it. They can cognize. They can use their brains to evaluate it. But there is a barrier between the narcissist and you.
Right. It's like there's a degree of separation there. Yes.
Yes, there's always a degree of separation.
Yeah.
Of invisibility.
I'm not buying it.
So there's no way
that
they could experience your pain because their pain is so overwhelming.
Well, that's another layer. Now you're adding another layer.
Well,
that makes your pain more invisible. Tony. So Tony mentioned this option. So let's stay there a moment and see how it falls.
So their pain is so deep, they don't get to that point of even considering what your pain is, because theirs is so profound.
So that might be, I would say that's a more rational explanation. The narcissist feels their wound so much. So they're all caught up in their wounds. And you codependents aren't focused on their wound either, because their pain is invisible to you. But you're feeling pain that they're causing on you. So you think they're going to feel your pain. But their pain, they're feeling more, so they're not seeing your pain. And they don't have any mental energy to make sense of your pain. They don't care about your pain.
Go there. It's like you've been shot and somebody come and pinch you with a needle.
Yeah, that's an extreme example.
So does the narcissist do they actually feel pain?
They're hurt.
I would say yes.
They're already in pain.
Or is it that, because at least from my understanding is that how narcissism typically it's formed starting in childhood, right? So by the time
we don't need to dive into the development level, not just yet.
Okay.
This is just staying at pain is inherently invisible to other people.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm still not buying it.
So Stacy,
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, what were you not buying, Stacy?
Because I think that they're very much aware of the pain that they inflict, and I'm not letting them off the hook. I'm sorry. I can't.
I agree with Stacy.
That's number 3.
I think that they are enjoying the pain that they inflict on others.
I agree
think they do enjoy it. I think
I've definitely witnessed that myself.
Yeah. The pain is invisible doesn't mean that the other person can't enjoy inflicting pain on you or other people. Doesn't mean that there's a benefit or an emotional high that happens.
So you're telling me that if I'm on the other end of whatever it is, let's pick a million whatevers.
Okay.
You're telling me that my ex had no concept of the pain that I felt?
No, I'm saying that's conceptual. Tony made an add-on saying that when your pain is so high, or the narcissist's pain is so high, there's no mental energy to evaluate the victim's pain. There's no cognitive awareness because they're focused on their pain.
I agree with that.
Because pain is inherently invisible to other people. You have to articulate it and explain it to the other person, and then they have to process it and evaluate. Then they can sort of get it, but there's a giant boundary barrier between individual pain and your pain, and it doesn't automatically, it's invisible. It doesn't translate. So I feel tons of pain. I can scream and cry. If you're not in pain, you can rationalize, empathize, feel my pain, validate. But if you're in pain too, of different synchrony due to another reason or different story, you're gonna be oblivious to my pain. Totally.
Correct. Definitely.
Tony gets it. Stacy wants to fight.
I understand it too.
Okay.
I'm listening and I'm trying to be open to it.
Good. So now you're softening. Because number 3 is sort of where you're going. You're at number 3 point. But we can't go to number 3 yet.
I also am having a hard time with that. I don't know if I would describe what the narcissist is feeling as pain. I think it's overwhelming frustration at not getting what they want. But I don't know if I would characterize it as pain. I don't think it's that dimensional.
I think it is. I really do. I think that the pain that they're inflicting on you in their mind is absolutely nothing in comparison to what they feel.
I agree.
In comparison to what
absolutely
they think.
In fact, they have no.
Yeah,
they have no inclination.
Sure.
It's a cakewalk to them. They've been shot and they're taking a pin and poking you.
Or they're trying to shoot you to equalize a pain. Not a pin. They're probably not trying to send a pin.
I know that we don't want to go into the developmental aspects of a narcissist, but I also am aware that some of the understanding right now is that the narcissist has gone through so much that they had to shut down whatever. I don't think that's always the case.
Yeah, that's why we don't need to go into the developmental. This is just all human beings.
So
this is a human nature observation.
I think that maybe they feel like they've been shot, but I don't think that's always necessarily true. And I think that oftentimes it is the codependents that have been through a lot more than that narcissist, and they're enjoying shooting that person down even more.
I agree with that point too. That's not
there's some vengeance in there.
Well, wait, that's an adding story.
Okay.
This study is based on raw physical pain. And then the metaphor is to jump to intense emotional pain.
I got it.
So at the raw physical level, if you're going through chronic pain or gout or what, you got an ingrown toenail. What's like a really painful physical thing that it's common?
Coronavirus.
It's not a physical pain. That's
was that too soon?
Migraines.
Yes.
You have migraines. Who has had migraines for a period of time?
Oh, I have, yeah.
So when you have migraines,
I'm gonna open my camera.
And your migraines are agonizing. Welcome, Janet.
Hi.
You seek out medication or whatever soothing mechanisms. But have you tried to share your migraines, how it feels like, to somebody else?
I've tried to explain it.
And then how do people take it if they've never had migraines?
They don't get it.
Yeah. And what kind of advice do they give you about migraines if they've never had it?
Oh, go
Is
to
it useful?
sleep.
Sleep it off.
Correct.
Take a Tylenol.
Correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
So at the physical level, pure physical pain, your migraine is localized in your body. You feel that it's totally real, it's totally visible to you, totally certain. But to somebody else, even if you're acting out a migraine and you're slow and you got the facial expressions that express a migraine,
I see where you're going.
invisible to others by nature. And it's up to you or a highly sensitive, conscious other person to spend a lot of mental energy and questioning to investigate, to attempt to get a feel for and share in your migraine pain. But if they've never had migraines, they still can't get it. There's a barrier.
There's no way they could relate. It's
Yes.
just internal. It's not possible.
Yes, that's pain is invisible. That's the point.
It's just not possible. I mean,
How about
if you've had a migraine before, you could have some inclination as far as how you could relate to it in your own personal
Past experience. Yeah.
But other than that, you don't really have a clue.
How about this? I've never broken a bone, okay? But I know that if somebody has a broken foot, I know to maybe be careful around that foot. I know maybe I should be a little sensitive and, you know, and maybe not step on that foot.
Well, let's give you a migraine.
That's easy
Let's
to
give
do.
you chronic fatigue disorder.
Okay.
Let's give you a couple giant shots of Hennessy. And let's twirl you around with blindfolded. How worried
Wait a
you gonna
minute.
be about other people's foot?
How about let's give you cancer?
Yeah.
You know, you don't know until you walk in that person's shoes. Narcissists don't want to feel our pain. They don't give a shit about our pain. It's only
And they don't have
about
to do any
them.
work.
Why should
So
they
you're
care
telling me
about?
that they're in so much pain that they're desensitized to ours?
Yes.
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 And it's early
Yes.
childhood trauma, and they
No,
have no frontal
We
lobe
don't need to
cortex.
understand. That's number 3.
I still
Stop
don't think
jumping
that
to-
they're in so much pain. I think that the
Yeah.
so much pain thing is an act.
We don't need that number 3. We don't need that story. We'll get to it later.
So is
Everyone
it
wants
just,
to go to the story.
are they that damaged that they
That's
don't
the
have
story.
any empathy?
It's not damage. This
Yes.
is human nature.
I don't
Stop
think
diving to the narcissist. We don't need to know their world.
They are so damaged from early childhood trauma and their frontal lobe bullshit that they can't hear us. They hate us.
Some people
you know-
deal with pain differently. Their level
Right.
of tolerance for pain
This is not.
is
This point is
totally
not
different.
about thinking about the narcissist's pain. My
Right.
argument is not about the narcissist's pain or the narcissist's so pain is simple. Pain at a human level is invisible to other people.
That's correct. There's no way
You don't need to exaggerate the narcissist is in pain. If the narcissist is in
correct.
pain, they'll be even more blind to other people's pain. But
That's
even
correct.
somebody totally not in pain, just sitting next to you, having a migraine, is totally oblivious to your migraine.
Right.
Deep, I'm going to join you in that yak you have. And there's no way my high is going to be the same as yours. And if it was, I have no means to match it.
Leslie,
Get some XO. Mine just VSOP. Then you'll up my.
Leslie, I hear what you're saying, but one thing I would want to just mention is I think we should just be careful in saying, Leslie, I totally hear what you're saying, but and I know what you mean by it, but be careful when we say the narcissist is damaged, because that could
Where are you going?
What?
that
Yeah,
could
well,
that
where are you
could
going?
lessen the accountability of the narcissist. In other words, make them, like, oh, they're damaged, that's why they're doing it. But so in a way, or that could invite sympathy, and that's the last thing we want to do for these people.
Well, I think that all empaths know the narc is a wounded animal with a dagger in their heart.
Why does everyone want to psychoanalyze a narcissist?
Not saying that they're wounded animals. I think that is part of the.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have rough childhoods, but not everybody grows up to be narc. So let's.
True.
So we can't. I'm completely against having any sympathy at all, even one.
We don't need to go here.
Right. We know
we can
what
go
they
here
are.
in a minute. It'll make sense.
I do agree.
3 or 4.
This is
right
about
now,
us,
#1.
not about them.
Yes.
Fuck them. I hope they all fucking die.
Yes, fuck everybody.
Motherfuckers.
Yes.
Okay.
Except mothers, I guess, if you want to. I don't know. It's kind of perverted.
All I'm saying is,
I would join that club, Leslie.
No, knowledge is power. You know what the dark triad is?
Yes.
Leslie,
are you
psycho.
exercising?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you like me? I have stage 4 cancer, and I'm fucking running in Houston, Texas.
And following us.
And I'm dying.
But give me my.
And look at me.
Dying. Stop it.
Fuck death.
Sure.
Everyone's dying.
Love it.
No one escapes.
Leslie,
what Leslie was saying. I know that when I was younger, I was like 8 or 10, and my mom was going through breast cancer treatments. My dad, who was the narcissist in my family of origin, was horrendous the entire time.
That's what they are.
Yeah, it was like all the attention taken away from him. Yeah.
How dare you take away my attention with your pathetic disease? Fuck you. I hope you do die. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
Life sucks.
Right.
You get back to pain.
I mean, look at all of us. We are in pain, and the narc doesn't care. And it's the only thing I can agree is move on.
Right. We don't care if they don't care.
Right. But then don't be with them.
We're not. Right.
Some of us are. Some of us aren't.
That's true.
So. I mean, we're all vulnerable. That's true. And we have to be able to discern between a narc and somebody who's decent.
Okay, 3 more points.
Someone wants more?
Yes.
We haven't fully digested point #1.
I think I'm getting it.
Okay, so you're saying it's sort of at an intrinsic level, pain is invisible?
It is.
At a human level.
At a human, it is.
So now I can read
I don't think
an
that's
argument.
100% true, but
Yes.
I'll bite.
So now you're willing to listen to the an argument.
I'll listen, but I just don't think we have too many people that are empathetic, that are in tune to other people's feelings, to say that people inherently don't feel other people's pain.
I think
it's not feel.
He didn't say don't feel it. He said don't
invisible.
See it.
You can't see it. What's the difference?
Maybe invisible is not.
Your migraine. You have a migraine. I can see it. It's still invisible to me.
Okay.
I think that is functionally.
Leslie had cancer.
Scientifically,
it's invisible to me.
That, like,
she has no cancer
neurons.
now. Also invisible to me.
Okay.
I can't see her cancer. I have no clue.
Okay, I'll bite. Go on. I'm open. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Welcome
So
to the
it's
other
not,
side.
What?
It's not that you can't sense their pain. You can, and people can. But,
no, that's the point. It's invisible.
You can't sense pain.
No,
You can sense someone's pain.
But maybe
you cannot.
You cannot fully 100% understand it.
Yes, that means you can't see it. It's invisible.
You can't see it.
You can sense somebody's in pain.
Okay. No, you if you want to.
Oh,
okay, I give up.
Open up a can of
My
worms.
pain is invisible to all of y'all. I'm trying to make a presentation. You guys are totally blind to my pain.
We're so
I'm just trying to make an argument for type 1. You guys don't see my suffering. I've been drinking like 2-3 shots.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't even drank for like months.
I noticed you drinking.
If I can see your pain, and point number 1 is causing me pain.
Well, I feel your pain. I just
What's
don't give a
causing
shit.
I'm drinking
Because you're
Hennessy.
wrong.
How is this causing you pain by drinking? I'm drinking the
What's that
alcohol.
noise?
You're not getting a alcoholic high from watching me drink. What kind of?
Beef, I want to
I
see you
am.
drunk. Keep drinking.
Are you guys super empaths? I can get drunk and you'll get drunk through visual.
Yep, sure
I
can.
feel your pain.
For that alcohol, I want to see you really drunk, and then lead this whole group.
I
That
might be
panda
by the
will
end of this
fall off
meeting at
your
this
back.
rate.
Right.
I haven't got to personal stories.
Panda will fall off.
I had a nice setup for something really amazing, but we're nowhere close to that setup.
We'll get there. I am optimistic.
We've got nowhere to go.
Then you haven't been to this group before.
So this is Virginia Woolf. Is she a poet or a writer or something? Wasn't she
Oh,
famous?
hey. Oh, no one can see that. Okay.
I can.
I
Candle,
saw that.
Virginia Woolf. See it?
Can I
Yeah.
see it again?
What is that, a
I have
candle?
a candle on my desk.
A Virginia Woolf candle.
She had an
Oh,
intuition that
coincidental.
we're gonna
Was that
get Virginia
planned?
Woolf's wisdom.
That's so funny.
Right, who has a Virginia Woolf candle? That's interesting.
Elise
ahead.
or Miranda or
That's
whichever
so
name
cool.
she's going by.
Right.
So this is, she was like a poet or writer or something, or was she an anthropologist?
Writer.
Writer. So she was able to dive into human nature and then write stories that really connected to a wide and broad audience. So she wrote this observation. Whatever pain achieves, it achieves in part through its unshareability. It ensures this unshareability through its resistance to language. Physical pain does not simply resist language, but actively destroys it, bringing about an immediate reversion to a state anterior to language, to the sounds and cries of a human being that makes before language is learned. Pre-verbal expressions of language, because she was so in touch with the pain. Nice point, Miranda. And one more section.
The key word in that selection is resistance. But I'm going to stop talking for a while because I feel like I've talked too much.
We have more coming, so there will be more opportunities. To witness not only, to witness the moment when pain causes a reversion to the pre-language of cries and groans is to witness the destruction of language. But conversely, to be present when a person moves up out of that pre-language and projects the facts of sentience into speech is almost to have been permitted to be present at the birth of language itself.
So the moans and groans is the language of pain?
Pain destroys language. So then you
sure
go
does.
Pre-verbal expressions of pain.
Pre-verbal.
Yeah, like before 2 years
That's
old.
the moans and groans that you reference.
No, this thing reference, Virginia Woolf.
Sorry.
So then you might have a breakdown. Maybe I'll show a breakdown story later if I can fit it in, but I'm not sure when to put it in. But you might collapse and start trembling, lose words, and start shaking like a baby. Or you have the start of it and then you stop it. But if you let it flow through you, then you actually, or in my past, I was in the bathroom in the fetal position for like 2 minutes.
Just for 2? Okay.
Well, if you fully release into it, then it passes through your system. If you can
Wow.
drag it out by going in and out, and you might be able to drag it out for 2 hours if you're got a lot of energy. But if you fully let it pass through you, it's hard to last more than 3 minutes. It might feel like 30 minutes, but
Wow.
so narcissist or your life situation, whatever, you have a trigger. It evokes your pain. It evokes your emotional pain that's unprocessed from your childhood, whatever development bullshit story you want to go into. It hijacks your amygdala, gives you the emotional flashback. It kills your ability of language, not only to speak it, but also to understand it in your head rationally, because you can't put it into words. So then your brain is watching yourself fall apart, collapse, and potentially get taken over by the energy and do like crazy stuff. So I have a nice story about that later, maybe. You do crazy stuff, and then you try to prevent the trigger. But the reason why you do the crazy stuff or you feel the triggers, because that pain destroyed your ability of language, not only to speak it, but also to rationally understand it. And then the narcissist sees you in the sweet spot, and then they poke more. So then you take it personal, and you don't get to rise above. You don't get, the narcissist isn't holding space for you. So they're not helping you make sense of it and seeing the birth of new language. And the therapist isn't doing that too, because they suck at holding space. So when you start breaking down, they're going to stop it and try to rescue you back. Typically, not all, but the holding space is something that's missing in our society. So the breakdown is natural. You just need enough pain, you're going to lose language. You don't believe it? Let me mess with you for a week. Find your pain point. I don't need to physically find your pain point, because you guys are mapping out your cards. I can find your emotional point, and I'll just hang out there. I don't even need to poke it, because it's so obvious to me and to the narcissist. So the more you try to be guarded, it's like, oh, I got these tactics. Your buttons are so obvious. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get there. So the holding space is sort of, that's a healing path. So this is the alternative path I'm presenting. Instead of getting more guarded and not getting triggered and trying to game the narcissist and all these other, whatever the hell you guys are doing.
Us.
Not you, everybody else. So instead of trying to reverse the process or stop the process, if you can find this group or me or a selected amount of people that can hold space, they can witness you and hold you through this process of breakdown. Because it's very hard to do yourself. I did it, but I don't know anyone else has. I did it because my brain shut down, so I couldn't make up stories.
Oh, my brain does that quite often.
Yeah. So if your brain shuts down, you might be able to do it for yourself. It's not because you're consciously doing it. Because your brain shuts down, you can't help and you have to go through it.
How do you hold space for yourself?
Yeah. So you can build a habit of allowing yourself or giving yourself more space instead of constricting. So there are tension practices, controlling practices, directive practices, or there's surrender practices. So if you do more surrender practices, you develop more muscle for holding space for yourself. But that's a long path to hold space for a tantrum or for.
Our surrender practices things like writing, painting, going on a run, things like that.
Meditating.
Traditional spiritual practices, surrender practices. If you get into the flow, you surrender to your muse and your
higher self,
unconscious part while you're painting, doing creative arts, then that's more surrender. Like Taylor Swift and all the singers who just sing about their breakups. That's their way of holding space for their breakup. One, they're shit talking their ex, but they're putting into music. And by putting into music, that allows them to hold space for their wound.
Okay, I'm not getting it.
So are you basically saying like redirect that energy and take it back to yourself and take care of yourself?
You're integrating it. You're not taking care of yourself. Holding space is a passive goal. By redirecting, you're allowing that to flow through you. You're allowing life force energy or natural God healing energy or reintegration energy to resynchronize your nervous system. So you're not doing,
wow, I need to see somebody do that. Deep, can you do that for us as an example? I do that
in the group, but it's not an active doing. It's not a directive energy.
Oh.
It's a holding space energy. It's a holding the right amount of space, because if you hold too much space, then you just run away. You check out. You abandon people.
Yeah, I do that.
So people are good at abandoning people. That's too much space. So you got to get the middle ground is holding space. You're still engaged, but you're not lost in the other person's story. Once you're lost in the other person's story, you add story to it. You add your bullshit to their memory. You're confusing them.
I'm not getting it.
It's okay. This is only point 1. There's 6 more, 10 more.
So
Alex.
Holding space mean, like, we don't see holding space, but we feel it, is what I'm hearing from you. Like, I will feel heard. That's how maybe holding space on your part manifests for me.
No.
Okay, I thought I had it.
Or part of it is being heard, but you can feel like you're being heard where someone's closing space or joining space. Someone joins in with you, validates your emotion, soothes it, and directs it. You feel heard, but that's not holding space.
Can you define holding space so that?
No.
Oh. Okay.
The more you cling on definitions of holding space, the more you lose your awareness of space.
So where do
You're trying to close space with a definition.
So how do I get this point?
You can't. The part of you that wants to get the point can't get holding space, because that part isn't involved in holding space.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't the holding space just, I think it's surrendering to, it's surrendering. It's just existing in it, right?
It's a surrender energy. Yes.
You're
That's
just
closer.
existing in the space, and you're just, whatever is, and you're just almost like breathing into it and just allowing whatever is to just be and just sit in it. Like sitting in the shit of it. Like,
well, that's holding space for yourself. Or holding space for somebody else is a little different.
Okay.
So who are we holding space for right now? For someone else?
Right now we're holding space for coronavirus.
Coronavirus has had enough space. Tell it to fuck off.
No, coronavirus is taking up all the space.
All of the space.
It's invaded everywhere.
Yes.
And all of our attention has been caught up into holding space for coronavirus. And then it's being directed by all the leadership with whatever bullshit they're doing. I'll go back to coffee because I can savor this spaciousness confusing everybody. I don't need
you going back and forth.
Because space is it's chill. It has a natural unwinding process. It's sinking into your consciousnesses, and you're confused a little, but it's not too bad. You aren't freaking out. You aren't jumping around, comforting each other, trying to get answers. Tony did a little, but now he's eased back a little. Stacy's sort of taking a nap. Leslie's running around having fun.
I didn't sleep good last night. I'm tired.
I gave you a good night's story. What?
I didn't go to sleep till 3:30.
Hey, Dee. So
Good.
I want to take another run at it. So are you holding space if you are present and in the moment for someone or something else?
That's an element. That's closer. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Say it again, please.
Alex.
Are you?
So if you are present for someone or something else, like you are engaged, you're in the moment, you're there, you're connected, right? Like, is that holding?
That's an element. That's an important element. Yeah.
Don't empaths do that?
No, not my observation.
So is this a level of tolerance that we speak of?
You have to be able to tolerate raw emotions, yeah, in somebody else and yourself.
Being in your body?
That helps to be present and in the moment, yeah.
Yeah, but is that different? Being in your body different than being present? Being in the moment?
It can be.
Okay.
You need it. You need both, probably.
Okay.
So being present in the moment.
This is making me out of my body.
See? That's a natural reaction. And then tolerating the space. Some people, just having more space freaks them out. Because space feels like abandonment.
Oh, wow.
So people who are abandonment sensitive, someone holding space, they mistake that for abandonment.
Say it again. So when you get more space, some people mistake that for abandonment?
Someone who's hypersensitive to abandonment, whose radar is abandonment, they'll mistake.
You mean if somebody gives you space, then you feel like you're being abandoned?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She got it.
I can see that. So if you don't understand, if it wasn't communicated that it's space, it can certainly feel like abandonment.
Yeah.
Depending on the individual, and they're hypersensitive to that.
But are they giving you space?
That was a good question that
or
Jeff just put out there.
Are they holding space for themselves?
Ooh. Let's see. Well, no, when you're holding space for yourself and somebody else, space doesn't differentiate between holding space for yourself, somebody else.
Someone background noise.
And
What did you
everybody.
say?
Oh, sorry.
Ryan. Okay.
Okay. Say it.
So I think Tony asked about holding space for ourselves and the localization of space, because Tony wants to close space on the definition of space. Because the part of his brain that can understand space is inherently closes space.
All right,
definitions are categories which make the understanding of space not space.
Okay, come on, Steve. So if someone has given you space, so you say, we just said that, and to you, it may feel like, if you're hypersensitive, that you're being abandoned.
Yes.
When he was asking, could that person, the other person that you think you're being abandoned by, could just be holding space for themselves?
Correct. They're not giving you space. They're holding space for themselves.
Well, I would.
They're not aware of shared space.
Okay, so go ahead.
I cheated a little, right? Like I went on the internet.
Bring it. Bring your cheating. Everyone's allowed to cheat. Go look up Heather Platt, the hold space expert. Go research all you want and bring your cheating. Go for it.
Listening to Tony and C, like I wonder if part of what at least if the internet's right, like they're talking about holding space also means no expectation, no reservations, no judgment, right? Like, so it's not putting anything out to the other person, and that could feel like abandonment, right? Like if they're looking for affirmation, if they're looking for, Stacy, I was thinking about the story you told at the beginning of the call, right? Like that.
Wake up, Stacy.
So anyway, is that another piece of it too? Is just that like we are not actually putting any judgment when we're holding space.
Okay, let me.
I'm sorry, I had to respond
that,
to something.
Alex. So I heard you said that holding space is not putting expectations or reservations or judgment out there. And then you're saying holding space is the opposite, not putting anything out there.
No, just neutrality. It's kind of a neutrality to it.
Okay. So let me say expectations, reservations, and judgment is stuff. So you're putting stuff out there. Is stuff the opposite of space?
Yeah.
Is that easier to understand than having these rules like don't do this and do this and be present, blah blah blah? Just don't put stuff out there. That's all holding space is.
Not putting stuff out there is holding space?
Well, that's a start. Now you're not putting stuff into space.
Oh, gosh.
So you're letting space be, and then now you can more consciously create a container. That's even harder to explain. And Tony's probably going to ask some stupid question.
He said some stupid question.
Mess up my space. Why don't you figure out how do I do a perfect space container? And I'm countering his space in advance, which is an advanced containment strategy. Because holding the container means you have to customize the container spontaneously in the moment for the situation, for the people, for the emotions, so you can get optimal optimal space for the best meal,
for
the best yumminess, for the best creative flow.
So does doing this protect you from toxicity?
In the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you close space, so old MO, you close space and you engage and you try to contain it your way, where the toxic person contains it their way. So their way is by dumping it on you and sucking your blood out of you. You don't want to do it that way because it doesn't seem fair. So you set up boundaries and whatever other strategies people do.
But the whole point isn't just avoid toxicity. It's supposed to, because we're never going to truly be able to avoid it. It's to be able to handle it when it does come your way, and to handle it in a way where it doesn't destroy you.
What's my lessons in the past? What was the boxing analogy from a couple meetings ago? Positioning.
Knock them out.
No, first you got to get out of their knockout.
Right.
So if you're in their danger zone, their triangle, you have to position yourself into their weak spot. So they're in your triangle, you're not in their danger zone. If you get out of their danger zone, then you don't have to worry about toxicity.
So maybe I should take a boxing class.
You should.
She already said that several times. So I need some examples with some of this stuff. Okay.
It's right here being modeled in front of your fucking face.
I know, but Dave, when we're in the moment,
while the space is being held, I escalated, insulted her. She's not taking it personal.
She might be.
Does it look like?
I did.
Oh.
See?
But pain is invisible. We don't know if she's.
So we asked her. I asked her.
Okay.
Yeah,
and her expression isn't showing pain.
That's because she knows it was a joke.
No, it's personal.
That's because I know it's deep and something's wrong with him.
Yes, I'm crazy, batshit crazy. I'm drinking cognac in the middle of the day.
And coffee at the same time.
Yeah, who mixes
I can't think of a better mix.
Right, a downer and an upper. Yeah, so.
Put a little THC in that. That's a nice little cocktail.
So we're being led by a drunk.
Yeah. No, but he's sobering up because he has the coffee right after it.
Yeah, put a little more alcohol in there, Dave.
With the alcohol.
Yeah, he's creating his own space.
This helps create space. Yeah, alcohol creates space. That's why they call it spirits.
So spirits are space.
But space is different than numbing, right? Like I would argue that alcohol is numbing, right? Like it lets you tune out. Space,
not if you savor the alcohol.
That's true. You can be present
see him
in the
savoring the alcohol.
This is cognac. This isn't some cheap tequila.
Hey, I like my tequila.
It's not $100 XO, but it's like $50 Visa. This is pricey shit.
It's something wrong with y'all.
Steve,
All of you all need some space.
What's the confusion, Alex?
You need to pace yourself is the confusion. Like, we're in this until like at least May 1 before things peak. You got to slow down on that bottle.
ABC stores are open. I have one down the street. What?
Essential goods, man.
I have a wine and beer store that's my tenant. I want to support and promote wine and alcohol sales, so I have at least one tenant that pays money. I already lost 2 tenants. One tenant, the husband, the father, got arrested by ICE 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Then the wife works at the schools being a custodian, so she's got no job. So 2 jobs, no rent.
Wow. So do you create your own space?
No, Cognac does.
You filled it up more.
Someone asks, was it Stacy who was promoting drunkenness?
I'm promoting it.
Who's irresponsible?
Me.
Yeah.
I'm going to live vicariously
So
through your alcohol consumption.
If that's the case, you won't be going to visit the ABC store.
What, today?
No, in the near future.
It's less than a mile away. I can walk. What?
Yeah, but not if you don't have any funds.
Oh, I didn't say I didn't have any funds.
Oh, okay.
I got credit.
That's not
so
fair.
If you're going to max out your credit cards, make sure you do it slowly. Because if you try to spend too much, they'll just cut off all your credit. Because now they know people cheat the system. So you got to drag out your spending before they cut your credit off.
You got a
Other
solution
advice to navigate economic times. No more alcohol. Where are we at?
Containment.
We're trying to create some space. I know I need
Containing your
some
alcoholism.
Right. It's like watching.
Containment, you
Now
said
these are
more.
going to turn into a 12-step meeting.
We can. Okay, number 2. Let's jump.
Okay.
We sort of covered this already. There's no language for pain. By
Ouch.
definition.
Ouch. There's language for pain. Ouch.
So no language for pain. So here's a intense story. That's the setup. Which intense story shall I go into? So how many people knew that I was a caregiver for my dad for 2.5 years? From 2008 to 2011.
Nope, we didn't know. That was during the recession.
Yeah, right after the recession. So, but it's
That
also
was
after
right
I
in
had
it.
my secondary PTSD wounding, which was 2007, from a narcissist guest friend, and then from the borderline wife. Stacy got to see the best man speech. So that woman was a borderline who kicked me when I was already down from the narcissist injury. And the narcissist injury was after a stock market loss injury. So I was already beat up from my first trauma, and then the stock market loss, wanted to recover in Hawaii. And then got bitch slapped by a narcissist injury for a week. Then wanted to share my pain to the borderline because she took the new people's side instead of my side, especially after I gave that giant, amazing best man speech. But instead, the borderline took that as a injury, as a whatever Alex says, what the borderlines blow up on anything or something. So she did that stereotypical behavior. I was wounded. I was in pain. I was broken. I was fragile. And she made it worse. So one gift that narcissists and borderlines can do is you feel pain, you feel broken, and they show you can feel more pain. So you think you're at your breaking point, and they say, ha, let me show you, you can feel more. Isn't that nice?
Right. So how do they know you're feeling more pain? How do they?
They don't care about your pain because pain is invisible inherently to others.
Well, yeah, but they
Number
had to
one.
know in order to inflict more that you were
No,
actually
then
in
they're
pain.
doing what Tony said. Their pain prioritizes over yours. Your sharing of your pain triggers their pain. Then they just want to defend their pain. You're invisible. You don't matter.
So if I share my pain with a narcissist, it triggers their pain, and then they.
If you want to call them out, like Annie said last time, that you must assume other people want awareness, so you must share your wounds with the borderline and set a boundary, and you don't worry about shaming or guilting the person that you're sharing about, because you must assume that everybody wants awareness. I'm still trying to set up the story. You guys want the story?
Yes, yes.
No, you don't.
We'll be quiet for a while. Tell your
I've
story.
been
We're all
trying
going to
to embody the pure drama and terror of this story. This is batshit crazy person trying to find the most batshit crazy, acting out, tantrum, pain experience I had, or want some of them, and then sharing with you on a point where you can't comfort me. So this is a setup. So I had it's after my secondary wounding. That was 2007. And then after the secondary wounding, I used my willpower and tried to push my way through. But the secondary wounding killed my faith in humanity, which Stacy, I've heard, complained about recently for some reason. And maybe that's a common thing for people with narcissism and relationship wounds. You lose your ability to trust.
True.
Other people, humanity, everything. So you guys complain, or some people complain to me apparently. That's very depressing. I don't know why.
What's depressing?
That you lose your trust of people. You don't know how to trust the new person. You don't know if this new person's gonna love bomb you. You don't know how to open up anymore. You're guarded all the time and you feel tired because you're carrying like a 50-pound shield all over the place and you're paranoid all the time. And
well, not paranoid, but your senses are heightened. I believe
you're
that.
vigilant. Yeah. Your senses are heightened. You're vigilant. And you do
but
that
yes,
for a long time.
you, especially if you have more than one narcissist in your life, you do.
Yes, because they're everywhere.
Well, yeah, but they don't have to all come towards Deef, right? You don't have to know
no,
all
they don't come
the
towards me. They
narcissists.
come towards all of y'all. I don't.
No, that's
mind.
what I'm saying.
They
So
come visit me and leave. I don't have a problem with narcissists coming, because they come and they go. They don't surround me. I don't have that problem.
But Deep, you made a really good point.
Which one?
You made a good point when I was talking to you yesterday. So
that's a secret. Oh, no,
well, we know now it's not a secret, so we can call it.
No, she's about to say a secret from yesterday. No, she's about to say the secret.
All right, no secrets. I want to ask Deef a question.
Spill it, Stacy. No, she's about to say
it's not really a secret. It was just it was something that you made me aware of. Going through this pain, right? And I'm looking at it like, okay, I'll never let anybody get this close again.
Never, ever again.
Never, ever again, which isn't really serving me, right? Right, because here I am trying to be in something that's healthy and I like push it away, right? But what you said to me yesterday really opened my mind up a little bit. That pain, by not allowing it anymore, I'm actually making the pain worse.
Mm-hmm.
And going through that was actually a good thing, because then it actually makes you feel more, right?
Yeah, but you're simplifying.
I'm really trying to sit in that and
simplifying
take that in.
Giant story to these other people on this group.
Well, I don't need to go into all the details.
They're not going to be able to absorb that insight.
That isn't that like emoting?
But guys, hey, I'm having this thought. I think we are not holding space for Deef, right? Like, Deef is trying to tell a story, and we keep interrupting him. So, like, And maybe
Okay,
that's
everybody
okay,
mute,
that's
Deep
what you want,
talk.
Deep, but like, let's all just be quiet for a while and let
No, I
Deep
still want
tell the
feedback,
story
but
and
just
hold
don't go to
space.
side things. Less of
He
that.
said just don't go to side things. Okay.
Stay on topic. That's all.
So we can't drink anymore.
You can drink more. Why?
Well, that's on the side.
On your side, but don't
put it on
spill
your
the drink in the group. Don't waste your alcohol on other people. Enjoy it to their side, and don't
Okay,
be
go on with
out
your story, Dave.
Yeah, continue.
Where were we? So this is a setup. This is after I had my trauma. The trauma of the borderline, and I lost my faith in humanity. Got sent in the spiral of the shame bomb and the pit of despair and the free fall. And it was kind of scary. Okay, that was 2007. So 2007, afterwards, I came back. I said, I can fight it because I have good compartmentation skills and I have strong willpower. And time heals all wounds. Actually, the 2007 wound, I had another mantra. People love mantra, or I love mantras. You guys maybe don't like mantras.
No, not really.
So I recommend don't do mantras. They're dangerous, especially self-mantras. So my 2007 mantra was like something like, that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Oh, wow.
And that sort of worked in the past. So that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And then somewhere in the universe, someone heard that and said, oh,
let's kill him.
Let me show you where that rule doesn't work.
Right.
So how did I get humbled with that statement?
Well, they just upped the ante on your pain threshold.
And then how would they neutralize the statement of that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger? That's point A.
We'll try to break you down as much as you can so you don't feel strong.
So then it's like that which doesn't kill me makes me
made you weaker.
Made me more fragile, more sensitive, more broken. So it's not just kill, survive, and be stronger. You can actually not be killed and get weaker.
True.
Get more sensitive, get more broken, get more fragile.
Become handicapped emotionally.
Or physically, or nervous system, or something. So Lisa's going to go silent, but she's still following on. It's probably, this is where the good part is, if we get to it. So 2007, I had my mantra. Then I got proven wrong. Having a mantra is number 3. It's not here yet. It's right here, but you can't see.
No, we can't.
You could cheat by getting the book or finding it, but good luck getting that.
The book and what else? What was the other sheet?
That's a printout of the book.
Oh, thanks.
So I had my mantra, and that kept me focused as I was getting beat up by the narcissist who was manhandling.
Now, who was the narcissist now in your life?
Well, that gets into the other story. We'll see. Maybe we'll end up with that story instead of the good one. I want to go to the more dramatic one. Or that's sort of dramatic, but this one, the later one's has a nice reveal.
Okay, thank you.
So that was, I was hosting a friend of the borderline. So the borderline is my friend's wife.
The borderline is your friend's wife.
Or my best friends, I guess. If I don't prioritize friends, but the one I talk to most and have long, so he's sort of best friend. So I was his best man. So she had a childhood friend that at like elementary school that lived down the street that reconnected at McLean Bible Church.
Oh, I like that church.
Yeah. Then they moved to Hawaii. And then when you move to Hawaii, friends pop out out of nowhere and reconnect with you. And when they reconnect with you, they say, "Oh, I want to see you. Can you host us?" Friends that live next door or live a city away, they could visit. But suddenly when you move to Hawaii,
everybody wants to come visit you.
Yeah.
Right.
So
can you
this
go
was
back?
one of those friends.
Yeah.
I was going to Hawaii for a month of retreat and recovery vacation because I had been beaten up by the stock market. This is before the 2008 crash. This is one of the many crashes before. And I got destroyed by like $15,000, $20,000 evaporated.
Yep.
But it's not just $15,000, $20,000. It's based on my savings amount at that time, which was maybe like 40 or 25 or 30. I don't know. It's more than half. Shannon's going to lose it. You can message me and get the finish of the story. But thank you for your contributions. Come back again. So I was financially beat. And my first trauma was a physical trauma, an abuse trauma, and a kidnapping trauma. But that's another story. You don't get that. Yep, see, Carla's caught. See? So I was already sort of hypervigilant. So they dived into the stock market to try to, it's isolated from the world. You dive in the stock market and you can try to find some order and stability to put my focus in there. But the stock market is just emotions on steroids. Someone emotionally fragile shouldn't dive into the stock market. So we're going to move Sherry because of her candy noise. So I was beat up when I went to the stock market trading. Then from the stock market trading, I decided to play juiced up tools. They're called option trading. Because at that time, currency trading wasn't that popular. So currency trading is like juiced up even more. So option trading is like 5 to 10 times the amount of juice, which means you can make money faster, but you can lose it faster. Currency trading is like 50 times juice because they give you more, what do you call that? Credit. So you only need like 50 to 1 ratio. So you just need like, they'll give you 10 times the more amount of money to spend and you just need to have this much money. But if you start losing, then you have to start covering and you lose money faster. That's a side thing. So I was beat up on the stock market, went to Hawaii to take a break and recover because I've been shell-shocked from financial wound and it's fragile, it was broken, it was lost, confused, like some of y'all are not. Is this relating? Head nods or thumbs up or something, I don't know, since everyone's muted or most people are muted. Okay. So that's a sort of the setup. So do you want to go into the BPD wounding or the narcissist wounding, or do you want to go to where I wanted to go?
Go to where you wanted to go.
Go to where you want to go.
Okay. So this is sort of to show number 1 and 2. So pain is invisible to others and there's no language for pain. So 2007, I'm wounded. And then I try to push through with willpower. My mantra of that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So I changed it. I threw another mantra of like, oh, time heals all wound. Another ridiculous mantra. You guys can try that. Take that mantra.
That mantra sucks.
Oh, it's nice. You just have to keep waiting. So time heals all wounds. You just wait. Seems pretty easy. So I did that, but I also tried to heal. So it's not like I just said time heals all wound and I'm just sitting on my ass. I'm moving forward and I'm trying to nurture, but I'm focused on my goals, 2007 or something. But then I get these weird fucked up side effects. My nervous system is sort of shot. So if John M was here, he could sort of maybe share his story of that too.
What
You'll
happened?
hear about it. So my hypervigilance was like on autopilot. It wasn't my mind telling my stuff. Like some of y'all, you guys are yelling to yourself. So your nervous system hasn't shot yet. So I'm just laughing at you because it can get much worse. You can just have your nervous system totally all out of whack and you're not sleeping right. You don't know how to distinguish stuff. You'll get like triggered and you don't know where it's coming from. It's kind of annoying.
Yes, it is.
And then you can say time heals all wounds, and that's pretty good. That sort of works, but still annoying because candy. Noise. Okay. So one outburst that I remember, this isn't the big story, but one outburst in 2007 was that we ran a motel, a small motel. Sometimes we put a sign like out of business or closed for business, be back in 15 minutes, or closed for the evening or something. Because it's a family operation. We don't have workers, and a lot of times no one's here. So sometimes we have to run errands. So I put the sign up, and during the day, no one's usually coming. So I got to run errands. I put a sign up, but then, people come to the motel. They're like narcissists, or they're like Americans. They're customers. Like, I'm here. Give me what I want. I don't give a damn about you or anybody. Right? So I sort of point, like, look at the sign. I got my goal. I'm focused on my goal. I don't have time to deal with these people. So I sort of point to that. And they're not happy. They're not happy and they say something. I don't remember exactly because this wasn't as big of a story. The later story I remember a little bit more. But also when you get emotional flashback, it's sort of disorienting because emotions flood your system. So it's hard to remember after the fact because in the moment, you're just reacting. You're just being an idiot. Or you're being fun. Forget, you're not being an idiot, you're being fun. Everyone should act out more. And if not, have some alcohol and you'll act out more. So this was a warning sign because I thought in the past I'd bounce back. I might be a little weaker, but I could say some bullshit mantras and get back on track on the goal. After my BPD wounding, I lost my faith in humanity and was a bit destabilized. And then my nervous system was shot and blah, blah, blah. So I acted out in the situation where this customer or these two people wanted to ask about rent and said, come back later, look at the sign. And they said something that was I don't know. It wasn't like an extreme thing like cancel culture now. It was like that sucks, you asshole. Or I don't remember. And then normally in the past, my old behavior, my old pattern would just let it slide or move on or something. But now my nervous system's fucked up. And then time heals all wounds doesn't work on, that's the wrong mantra. So when you're being triggered emotionally and your nervous system's fucked up and someone's challenging you or insulting you, time heals all wounds isn't a good mantra. Maybe that which doesn't kill me makes me feel stronger is a good mantra. But that got neutralized in Hawaii. So my inner critic should beat myself up because I should have had a better mantra. That's what you guys do. And I can beat myself up. I don't have a good mantra. But at that moment, they said that, and I triggered my fight mechanism, and then I tried to escalate. So I don't know. I puffed up my chest and then said like some other stuff. We didn't have a fight, so that's why this isn't the dramatic part. But this is a setup for a future escalation. So it's a data point in my mind that time isn't healing all wounds. So sort of fucking up my mantra. That's essentially what happened. reality fucked up my fantasy. Why the fuck did that happen? And really, I needed some codependent friends to go soothe me after this and tell me that reality didn't fuck up my reality and fix my mantra. That's what I really needed. But I didn't have any friends or whatever, because pain is invisible and I didn't have a language for pain. So my initial trauma, all my friends disappeared because I wanted to talk about my pain, make sense of it. They got overwhelmed by it and just shut down or disappeared. So I lost all my friends from my first trauma in 2003. They faded away.
So are those really friends, or they're what?
Yeah. Why weren't they friends if they faded away?
Were they true friends?
Yeah.
So we could run
your
people
friends to hold
away.
space for you, especially in
could run-
traumatized stuff. They have no experience. They don't know any better. That's expecting too much from people.
Yep.
Being unreasonable. People aren't trained to hold space for other people, let alone casual friends or close friends. It's ridiculous expectation.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, when we have friends, I think it's important to be there for your friends.
Exactly. So if I had friends, they could have fixed my mantra.
I don't know if they can fix your mantra, but they can certainly hold
They could
space
distract
for
me.
you.
They could make me feel better instead of being humbled by reality.
Right.
And having my mantra put in my face like, "Oh, your mantra is shit."
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
So
So
listening
maybe you
to
just need different friends.
I didn't have any. I lost them. But I have energy to make new friends at this moment. My nervous system's all fucked up, and I lost my faith in humanity. No more faith in humanity.
Can that make you sarcastic?
Yeah, but I was already sarcastic before. So I don't know.
So what happened?
There's a request on the really fucked up my reality, or Shonda, so let's see. If I need to expand that, or if I can expand that a bit more. So I have the fantasy. My mantra is a formula. The mantra is a formula that says time heals all wounds. So if I wait more time, that's A, then point B is my wounds get better. That mantra is a fantasy. It's me projecting onto the future to make the future more predictable, repeating it to myself to self-soothe myself, but it's a fantasy. It's not as good as a mantra as before. The mantra before was like, oh, that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So that means I could just go out, and as long as I don't die, I get stronger. That's a pretty good mantra. That mantra doesn't allow, I go out, get beat up to a pulp or whatever, survive, and get weaker. That mantra didn't allow that, but it worked. And it feels good, so I kept going there, and then reality says, fuck you. Killed that fantasy. Does that help, Shonda? You create a story to simplify the future. You create a rule. You repeat that rule to yourself, and you have your codependent friends tell it to you, or tell you a bunch of rules to confuse you. And that projects a fantasy future. But then reality doesn't care about your mantras or whatever you're saying or your codependent friends. And then you get humbled. And that's kind of painful.
life is totally humbling.
Yes, by design. If you're going to keep growing up, life will humble anything you're projecting, you're trying to force or dictate onto life. That's by nature, that's reality. Unless you shrink your world and get smaller, 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 then you're going to kill yourself. So you don't need reality to kill yourself, because you're going to kill yourself because your world's a tiny little dot of a box, and you're in social isolation like where we are now. So.
But Dave, don't you think that you can set an intention, like like the idea of, time heals all wounds, or whatever intention for the future you're putting out, whatever you want that mantra to be. We set an intention and we set a pathway for that.
Yeah.
That's energy.
God
So is it so bad?
Let's say it worked.
Right. Let's say it does work, which
Let's say
I think that it does.
Time heals all wounds, and God heard it. Says, okay, I'm interpreting this to say, speed up the process.
Okay.
God works in mysterious ways. So he says, this is a request to say, okay, this guy's open. So I'm going to speed up the juice. I'm going to add more reality dose. Intention worked. In God's way, not my way. Be careful what you wish for. Does that address your counter or wherever you were trying to go, Stacy?
I don't know.
See? You don't know where you're going. That's exactly what God does, or reality does. It says, fuck your fantasies, fuck your interpretations. You're not in control. You're human. That which doesn't kill you makes you more human. Reveals more of your humanity. For a lot of codependents, they do need to get killed a few times so that they see their courageous adaptability, their survival instinct. Then they'll feel stronger because they're not taking on any risks. You're just hiding. If you have that mantra and you go out and do more stuff, now you'll see your fight. But that doesn't make you God. That doesn't make you a narcissist, grandiose narcissist. That's sort of where Tony was asking a couple meetings ago. Yes, you first have to take risks, then you got to see your strength. You got to test your strength against others. But if you just keep destroying other people thinking you're strong, what about space? Oh, muted.
What'd she say?
So every mantra is good to a point, but if you overdo it, then you get humbled. Oh, Lisa's at age 28. So my 3 traumas happened at 28 to 30. So at 3, I'm special. But 28 to 30 is Saturn returns. The Saturn returns is an astrological period based on woo-woo astrologically bullshit. But it seemed to match my life pattern. So you can look up Saturn returns. And that's a period of dramatic change. So oftentimes during dramatic change, if you're not surrendering to the change or you're not aware of the change, God will say, get your attention by shocking you a couple times. For me, it took 3. And then I said, I'm still in charge. So I took my second trauma wounding. So you don't need to be as stubborn as me, because I'm crazy.
Deep.
Alcoholic or something.
Deep.
Yes.
My aunt was a professional. She was a celebrity astrologist. This was some years ago. So when you said that, I was visiting her one day, and so she was letting me know that her Saturn was returning. But then she said her Saturn was going to retrograde.
Yes,
and
Saturn
then
retrograde.
It was going to go direct again. And she said, that's like having a truck, a 16-wheeler run over you. She said, when it goes direct, she said, I'm going to be out of here because I won't be able to take that. And to the date that she said, that she gave me, and I informed my cousins, because we loved her. But to the date that she said, her partner came home and found her dead, just like that. So that just reminded me of my aunt Amali, that Saturn, your
Sometimes it's
Saturn
predictive,
returning.
and
What'd you
sometimes
say?
it's a, sometimes it's predictive, sometimes it's a self-fulfilling fantasy.
Well,
The
she was
stars
accurate.
are calling out for dramatic change, and she's freaked out and doesn't want to deal with the change. She could get an exit, or the change could be the death. There's no answers.
Yeah, but the way it was going, it was retrograding, and then it was when it went direct again. Maybe if it just returned and it didn't do the retrograde.
No,
maybe,
Saturn, the stuff goes. You have no control over that time frame.
I don't know.
That's a cycle. So at least having the feeling like I'm done with this, that's exactly what you're supposed to feel during Saturn, your Saturn return cycle. And it's great. So you can welcome the change, reposition yourself. And then the Saturn returns is less dramatic. But for me, I choose the dramatic path because I don't know why. God sends me more juice.
Okay, interesting.
2007, post-secondary wounding. My nervous system shot. I'm noticing. I got a new mantra that's not as good as the old mantra. Then I act out versus these customers or whatnot. And my radar is up. Like, time isn't healing all wounds. So I have an impatient part of myself that says, not good enough. So 2008 comes, and people like to set anniversary goals or New Year's resolutions, or it's a new year. Or maybe I saw the 2008 real estate crash coming, so started 2008. I got to change plans. I got to shift gears. So I decide I have to actively work on healing instead of just focusing on my goal, using my willpower, and just letting time heal our wounds. So it's not that I'm ignoring my wounds, but my goal is number one. I have this obsessive focus level of like reptile or snake level, so I can just put all my attention on the goal. Makes me stubborn, makes me annoying, makes me sarcastic. Oh, Monita's back. She missed this middle part. The good part's coming. So I'm down. 2007, I'm down. I'm disappointed. I'm sad. I'm feeling hopeless and helpless, like a codependent. Do you feel my pity? Do you feel the sadness and the despair of this? Right? So,
I had a situation in 2007 during the recession time with a narc too.
It happened. What happened in your 2007?
Well, I had moved with a narc. We became engaged. The other narc took me for custody with my children. That was horrendous. Then the other narc collaborated with the custody thing, which was my mother. I thought I was going to lose it. All of those, I didn't know they were narcissists at the time, though.
Yeah,
but they were definitely getting a lot of emotional supply from me.
Triangulated in 2007 on you. You were like yummy.
I was more than yummy. They got fat off of me for a while.
Yeah. So 2007 was maybe a supercharged year. I don't know in the astrology, maybe something.
Right, but that's what I was thinking. That's what when you just said that during that time frame.
So that was the peak of the bubble. That's when people were buying like 6 homes with like 0 interest, and just like the boom was like really, really hot in 2007. We forget that. I mean, people were just like becoming overnight realtors and buying 2nd homes and 3rd homes and get rich quick like crazy. It was fucking idiots. But people knew it wasn't going to last, but everyone was just jumping in with 2 feet. Yeah, that was 2007. Yeah.
There's the downer.
2008.
was 2007 and 8. Did that correspond to your Saturn return?
No, my Saturn returns is 2002, 2003. That was my first trauma.
Okay, got it.
Or my first 3 traumas. My first trauma, that was 3 different incidents. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
Saturn returns are fun.
What are they?
But in the midst of it,
When your
that's
Saturn
you
returns.
can Google that. That's
To
a
your
side
original,
story.
to the original house when you were born.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Does that imply hardship?
Often.
Oh no.
Sorry, Dave. Go ahead. Continue where you were.
Yes, it's not fun. I am lying. Saturn return really sucks. Yes, I agree.
Does it?
But everyone has to go through it.
Is there a pattern to it, to Saturn, or just arbitrarily appear and disappear?
No, it comes every 28 to 30 years.
Oh, good.
So it comes
Yeah,
around
so you can
28 to
have
30.
several in your lifetime.
Then it comes again around 56. So
Oh no.
maybe I'm preparing. So another 10 years.
Oh my gosh. I don't believe it.
But you can Google and find mediums and psychics that give you advice.
So when they
Give you
return,
mantras.
you're just bombarded with trauma, is what I'm hearing.
No.
No. It's not only trauma. It's just a period of significant change in your life.
Yeah, that's accurate.
It could be positive or negative, but it's just a period of change.
So it's a cleansing process.
Okay, so what kind of process?
Go to Wikipedia and read about it.
Cleansing. Change.
Not necessarily a cleansing, but it's a change. You're going to make some type of lifetime change. And if you embrace the change and know that it's coming and flow with it, it won't be so dramatic.
Okay, I guess I was looking at it from a different perspective, and that change is to me, it's always associated with cleansing.
I don't know. You have to pass the toilet paper. I don't know.
So
I guess
smooth.
that's it.
You should drink higher level cognac. I know the cheap stuff. We haven't gotten to the good stuff. We're setting it up.
Get to the good stuff.
Okay, yes.
You guys want to talk about Saturn returns? There's tons of time you can read about that.
Thanks, James.
I want you to go on with your story.
So 2008 starts. I now add a new goal to my life. I must take an active role at healing my fucked up nervous system. But I have no experience. We don't have YouTube at that time. You don't have 5 million healers with whatever bullshit mantles on YouTube. You don't have the workshop circuit you have. You don't have all the books. There's a limited, the world of 2008, healers, new age, all this stuff is like tiny compared to now. Maybe 10%, maybe 5%. The wealth of noise you have now and the wealth of healing now is like a totally different world. So I dive in, and I start with acupuncture. Because I'm Chinese and acupuncture is Asian. So I go, let's do Asian. I don't know my logic. I just tried that out first. And then I looked for somebody for an acupuncturist. And I said, acupuncture is Chinese. I'm in Winchester. So that's about an hour west of here. It's a country town. There's not that many Asians. There are not that many acupuncturists. So I look for an Asian or a Chinese acupuncturist because I'm racist. But I'm allowed to be racist because I'm Asian. You guys can't be racist because you're white. Dominant culture can't be racist, but
I'm not white.
Talk shit. Well, all the dominant people, not you.
Okay, great.
Not us.
Yeah. Fellow minority people, you guys can talk shit about dominant culture.
Wait, I'm Jewish. I'm in minority.
Yeah.
No.
But you can blend. You can blend.
You're a blender.
I'm a blender?
Jewish culture used to be a minority, but now they're sort of part of dominant white
Whatever. No room for racism. Go on.
Now we're all a minority. You're right.
I just opened the door to racism. I was racist and wanted an Asian acupuncturist simply because of race. That was my qualifier.
No.
So I chose this Korean guy because there weren't that many Asian people in Winchester, let alone Asian.
That's not the same as Chinese.
Yes, but closer than white.
But they don't know acupuncture, but go on. I'll
Exactly,
bite.
but I was being racist and I didn't evaluate acupuncture experience. I just made a simple black and white evaluation. Chose a Korean guy. And then acupuncture, they do the pulse reading and the tongue reading, and they do these intro protocols.
Iridology.
And they charge per session. Back then, maybe it was like $100 a session. Is it more now? I don't know.
No, it's cheaper
maybe
now.
Maybe it's $60 back then. It's cheaper than 60. What? Without just pay?
No, it's cheaper than 100 now.
Okay, but each session you got to pay. So 3 sessions, I'm kind of annoyed because of money. I just lost like 20,000 in the stock market. I only got like 10,000 in savings. I think I sold some computers on the side, but I'm broke, or I live broke, even if I'm not fully broke. So 3 sessions is a lot of money in my subjective delusion. Then I evaluate, do I notice any change in my nervous system? And I got no juice. It's not doing it. When they poke the needles, yeah, I feel like the electric vibration, and they can just like, so I feel that, but as far as my overall calmness and wellness, I don't notice it. So I evaluate the cost and my benefit, and I'm sort of skeptical. So my radar goes up for new ideas. And then I see a magazine that talks about Qigong, and Qigong, the theory is that you can do body movements to help stimulate and move your energy through the meridian lines so that you can self-heal. So that opens the door to exploring the Qigong, but also opens the door to Reiki, because there's like Qi stands for energy. So then somehow I stumbled upon some stupid Reiki attunement class or something. So I became a Reiki practitioner.
No.
Yes. You just go to a class and they attune you, and then you got it.
That doesn't work, does it?
Yeah, it has influence. Does something.
Didn't you watch Karate Kid?
Did you wave feathers over somebody? Okay. Anyway.
He won in the end of Karate Kid. What?
That's right.
No, are we on point 3? Which point are we on?
Number 2, but we're also covering number 3.
Okay.
I just haven't explained number 3. And sort of number 4 is there too. But we're trying to focus on number 2.
Okay.
What's number 2?
Stacy, what's number 2?
There's no language.
Pain is invisible.
No, there's no language for pain.
Thank you.
Number 2, no language for pain. So the language I'm putting out here now, because after the fact, I can put language into the story and make it appetizing and appealing and digestible to you. But if I was in the midst of 2007, I couldn't explain it in this controlled, organized, structured, calm narrative.
Why couldn't you?
Number 2.
Okay. There's no language.
You have to actively
Okay,
work.
who has the cute baby? Whose cute baby is that?
Oh, you can hear her.
Oh, is that your grandbaby?
Uh-huh.
So cute.
I muted it.
Okay, so that opened the door to my healing process. So I've been actively working on my healing, hacking my nervous system since 2008. How many years is that to now? 12 years. And somewhere along the lines, I started a daily meditation practice. That was at least start of 2009. That's 11 years of daily meditation practice or movement meditation practice or both. So just tracking meditation practices, I'm at like 5,000 hours. I started tracking with my iPhone or my cell phone with this app in 2010. So this has a tracker. So we'll go hours. Because sometimes what people do is they say, give me the hack fix. How do I hack my nervous system? Was that a common question? Carol was asking that before, wasn't she? How do I get my nervous system to listen to me? Is that right? Ugh. So right here we got 4,400 hours.
Wow.
That's only tracked the formal meditation. And then it's how many days? 4,914 sessions. And then milestones. So total days, like close to 10 years or more than 10 years now. So I don't want to start bragging about it until 10 years. Because people brag about it and then they say, you're not spiritual because you're bragging about it. So I kept my daily practice secret for a decade. So 15 days with one session that's tracked on the app.
Oh.
So that's how I hack my nervous system. Work.
You did that with some focus.
Not focus, discipline. So
I like it.
Insight Timer. Used to be called Zen Timer. It's free. And then I'm a week into cold showers, so that's a new nervous system hack. So 2008 was the start of this process.
Wait, I just interrupted. I was gonna try your shower thing, and then reality hit, and I'm like, "Are you crazy?"
Zen.
You're crazy.
I'm like, "No, it's cold."
Oh, the cold.
It works well with a steam bath.
Yeah, alternate. Yeah.
I've done the cryotherapy, but then I had the, that hyperbaric chamber after to like warm you up. All right, but go on.
Oh yeah, now it's 3:45, so I want to finish by 4 and then have some after thing. So the context is the 2008. That gives you context of my practice. People, how do you get this? And this? Not only do I have discipline, not only do I have obsessive focus, I got 12, 11 years in this daily.
Steve, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you know how to still do the stocks?
No, I never got over. I've been meaning to go back, but the wounds of. I'm still in shock.
Wouldn't this be a great time to do so?
Yes, right now there's volatility, so this is the time to jump back in and make.
Right. So, do you think we could encourage you?
For what? For me or you? What?
For all of us.
That's not how day trading works. You do it for yourself.
Oh, okay.
You don't collectively. You don't share the pot. Fuck that.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. So.
Unless you're going to share the loss.
Yeah, you'd have to share the loss.
Not guaranteed.
You can't do that collectively.
No, not recommended.
14 minutes. This is a good setup. Got all kinds of sideways, but we're still going forward. That's a good story. Not just sideways and you don't end up anywhere. That's the way most people tell stories. It's fucking annoying. Or they circle around and they go back to the start. What the fuck? That's not a story. Guys can't write.
So are you emoting? Is this good emoting?
This is emotional theater. That was
emotional theater. I like that.
Request from the last in-person meeting.
I've got to write that down.
Not only do you need a narrative, you got to be able to emote it to others. So now you have language for pain. But the person in pain has to do it. The receivers can't do it because you don't have the experience of the pain. Or at least mention singing and journaling and creative expression. That's one way of getting it outside of your head and then sharing it with other people. But then you see all the musical people who have like mental issues and drug issues because they don't do the next step.
Which is?
To get a coherent story where suddenly you can share your pain to others and you have language. Because inherently,
coherent.
There's no language for pain.
But it's still just
coherent, yeah.
It's still just a perception because they could never really know. It's just to give them some idea.
No, it's not about you. You're one of them, Tony.
Okay.
My goal is not to get you to feel my pain.
Then why the language?
My goal is emotional theater to simply entertain you.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
He's kidding.
My goal.
His goal is to get us to open up ourselves so we understand our own pain and our own,
That's the teaching part. So
Leslie, it's a fashion show. You look nice.
Jester.
Ugh.
Taking my pain, my most vulnerable story, giving it to you for free. You're not paying for this show. Bleeding my heart, my most precious, some of my most precious, vulnerable times, and just sharing it in a way that provides entertainment for you, gives you permission and a seed to welcome your pitiful, ugly, painful, horrendous stories into your awareness.
So it's sharing.
What sharing?
You're sharing your experience that happens to be painful.
I'm not sharing it. You're not handling any emotional burden. You're not handling any workload that I did. You're not taking part in that.
Okay, so it's entertaining.
Yeah,
presumably.
So do empaths take on that when we really should just be entertained?
Why would we be entertained with your pain?
That's what narcissists do.
Because it's better my pain than you.
But I don't find it amusing.
Then I gotta emote better.
Do so.
I'm trying to, but people are doing all these side things, and I want to make people feel part of the community. So,
well, entertainment in the sense of if I empathize with it, it could be sad or it could be heartfelt.
That's theater. That's a good TV show. That's a good movie. That's what I'm trying to do.
To get a reaction of some sort.
Yes, I'm trying to get a reaction out of you.
To get a reaction. So anytime there's a reaction, regardless of the up or down, it's entertaining.
It can be. Codependents seem to only like the up part.
I love when.
Yeah, but the down parts are all the fun.
Who wants, you know what?
Who wants to ride a roller coaster and just go
going there?
Up.
I don't want to be on a roller coaster.
Roller coaster is the down parts, the fun, not the.
That comes. You don't have to worry about going down.
But that's the fun part.
It is. It's the sliding board.
That's what I'm trying to set up to the.
So you wait in line.
I'm trying to get to the drop, but you guys are dragging out for.
We're not able to hold space.
Yeah.
Somebody playing the banjo?
That was someone breaking up.
Waiting.
That sounded like banjo. Sherry.
Yes.
You wanted to interject or something? Now we got 8 minutes. I've said 15 minutes. I got to rush out. And then I didn't get any more.
Can everyone go on mute except Deef?
No, they don't know how. They can't help
I'm
themselves.
still trying to get my own space. That's where I'm
Can't
still
even hold
there.
space for themselves.
Yeah,
see?
I think some of that requires us just to be quiet, right? Like, it's, no, I mean, and I don't mean that in any ungentle way, but like, it's so clear watching this that we're not, like, we think we're empathic, but I'm kind of seeing the problem of being empathic.
Mhm.
We're not letting,
That's the point.
we're not
But aren't-
creating space for someone who's trying to share a very vulnerable thing.
That's hard to share,
Yeah.
inherently hard to share. That you guys don't
I
have
think
courage
we
doing that.
listened to it. I for myself, I listened to him.
Well, everyone
Haven't
that's
gotten to it.
everyone that's talking right now is not comfortable.
Ah, good point. Then close this mute. That's a good interjection. Throw it into the space. Everyone that's not talking is not comfortable. So, is it time for me to continue soothing your comfort? Or
Is it
can I
not
get more
talking?
uncomfortable? It's already hard enough for me to be uncomfortable and keep going to unpack this story slowly so you can tolerate it. But your uncomfort is suddenly being thrown into the space, and you're saying my uncomfort is more important for the person who has a bigger wound, which is really
Deef, it's 3:53. Finish the GD story.
is hubris. Yeah. And other people are starting to interject because you're invading boundaries. It's disrespectful. And you can't help it. And then you still want to think you're empaths and codependents and whatever the hell your moral high ground is.
Ugh.
That's a good interjection.
Well, you called us Americans at first.
Yeah. That's a defensive response.
Okay.
So 2008 comes, I start healing, I start my process, and I get a little stable because I'm a focus. I drop those mantras January to November, pretty good. And then middle of November, my dad has a stroke. Except he had a stroke that didn't show up in the CT scan, or didn't show up in the simple scan. So it didn't show up in the simple scan, but he had before and after dramatic effect. We had a follow-up meeting after the stroke, and then the neurologist said that he just has instant Alzheimer's because his symptoms showed Alzheimer's. He did like the little clock chart where you're supposed to do like 1 to 12, and it's all distorted, and that's an evidence of signs of Alzheimer's. And then we, as the patients who have to figure out how to live with taking care of my dad, who was functional before, even though some signs of memory loss, after the incident, he's instant Alzheimer, doesn't make sense to us. But the doctor system doesn't give a damn. They said, this is my analysis. The chart doesn't say stroke. I don't see it there. He has instant Alzheimer. You usually have to adjust instant Alzheimer, and there's no medications, or here's a medication to do something. And then dumps that responsibility on me and my mom, who ended up being caretakers full time for my dad and the motel and the transition to moving to Rockville, all within the next 2.5 years. So that's the initial diagnosis in November. But then later on, it didn't sit well with us, so we went to get a second opinion. And maybe because we're racist. So we hunted down through the chain of friends a neurologist in Rockville called Dr. Yan. And he looked at Dad's symptoms and he thought it was a stroke or something. So he wrote the order for a higher brain scan. Maybe it was MRI. So maybe initially it was a CT, and then MRI is the next level. But the Winchester doctor didn't want to do the MRI. He said, It's not on the CT. He doesn't have a stroke. He just has instant Alzheimer's. The neurologist from Winchester, we're able to communicate better because he speaks Chinese and my mom speaks Chinese and dad speaks Chinese. And I'm racist because I'm Chinese, he's Chinese. And so we got a second opinion, got an MRI. He has a stroke, or a mini stroke, shows in that. So the neurologist, Dr. Yan, said, oh, he had a stroke. And the neurologist in Winchester says, oh, he had a stroke. Yeah, look at this. He has a stroke. Didn't apologize. Didn't explain why she was taking a different position. Oh, okay, this is a stroke. Now we change the protocol or whatever. But having a stroke, there is no protocol. So they just check the rest of your blood vessels and make sure that you're not going to have another stroke. So they only have a prevention protocol after stroke, unless it's really bad and they cut you open and they can do some stuff. But it was a localized stroke and it wasn't spreading. Contained. 2 minutes. Okay, I can't finish the story. So. I'm still here now. I didn't die. And Dad died in May 2011 after 2.5 years of a decline. And we were very sad, and we're still sad, and it's okay. End of story.
No way. Finish the story properly. Keep it going.
Might go over a little. So if
That's
people have
fine.
to leave, you can record, guess your recording. I'll try to finish it within 4:10. How about that?
All right, keep going.
Okay, Deef, was your dad the narcissist?
We're not allowed to interrupt. He's got to finish the story. Loving
Okay.
everybody, but let him finish, please, please.
You see, so that jump in is like, I got to understand some side nuance of the story because I don't want to hear more intensity. I haven't even shared any intensity. What's the news of some stranger getting a fucking stroke who died? Why do you even care? You can read the obituary any day and you'll read some sob story about how someone died. What the fuck? How are you so oversensitive?
Go on.
I'm
That's
not
the
breaking
alcohol
down.
talking.
Why are you jumping
That's the
in?
alcohol talking. Keep going, Dee.
So this is the start of diving into the gaps of the medical system. If the medical system has a model, recognizes a disease, and has a protocol, they'll tell you what to do. They'll give you a treatment. But for my dad, they didn't have the protocol. They said he just has instant Alzheimer's, so they gave the wrong protocol. We got the protocol of the mini stroke, but then Dr. Yan didn't consider Alzheimer's or PSP, which we think he had eventually at the end through another neurologist test, progressive polysupernuclear palsy. Abe Poland of the old owner of the Wizards had it. So we didn't have, so he just saw the stroke, mini stroke. So Dr. Yan said, most people who have a mini stroke, they get better and recover automatically. So that was the map we got from Dr. Yan. And I said, and my mom said, I don't know any better. So okay, he had a stroke, we take care of him, and somehow he naturally recovers. Do some checkups or whatever. That's his map. I'm a stupid peon. Let me listen to Dr. Fauci. Let me not think, and let me just listen to the person with the degree. Essentially
Right.
what coronavirus is doing. Or Leslie's doing with the doctors. Saying you're in the medical system, you just listen to these people with protocols. They're not treating you. They're treating however they're diagnosing you and the protocol that somebody else told them. That's the medical system. So my dad got the stroke, and then Dr. Yan's map didn't work. He got a slow, progressively worse. But it was kind of slow, so Dr. Yan still held on the map and said, oh, people with strokes get better. And then eventually, when that evidence didn't match, his mantra also got fucked up by reality. So his mantra was like, oh, people with strokes get better. And we took his mantra and said, okay, he's got the degree, he's got the office, he's got the doctor in front of his title. I'm going to go with his mantra. But then it didn't work, and then Dr. Yan says, I got nothing in Chinese. Sort of like, I don't know what happened, got nothing. Stroke didn't get better. We got nothing. And then he got angry at us because we went to a family doctor. And the family doctor gave my dad antidepressants because my dad was acting out some. So he gave some antidepressant. And then the Dr. Yan got angry at us and said, why are you giving him this? Because this could have side effects of that. So we got berated by Dr. Yan because this other doctor gave this medication that could have side effects. How am I supposed to know? How my mom's supposed to know? This is a medical system. People have different models, different things, they're treating different things. They're just going to throw these rules out, just like, wear gloves, wear N95, wash your hands, to 20 seconds or 25 seconds, or wash it every time you touch anything, or wash it every 10 minutes. You get all these different instructions from different experts. I've already dealt with that. Up close and personal. On an invested person that I'm taking care of, not some nurse friend that I know that might have a higher chance of getting some disease. So I'm going to try to self-soothe her by doing all this rigmarole. I'm not even in the trenches. Now I'm escalating. Are people checking out? Haven't even got to the story.
No, we're listening.
Hard it is. This is how hard it is to have language for pain. I'm just setting it up, painting the environment. We don't have the ab reaction yet. We don't have the emotional trigger. You guys can't even tolerate the space. And you want to act better when you're triggered. And you guys don't have the 4,000 hours of practice. And you guys want a shortcut.
Yeah, we want a shortcut.
See? And I entertain you.
What we really want.
That's where Leslie gets it, because Leslie's facing the system. You guys have a choice. If you have a choice, you're not traumatized. Your trauma is learned helplessness. It's bullshit from my perspective, but I don't say that so overtly. But since it's a group, I'm allowed to say it. So then it doesn't seem personal. You can say I'm talking to somebody else.
We are not, so you think we're acting helpless?
Just in general.
Talking to everybody else, not you.
In general, we act helpless as a empath.
Leslie knows, because she's in the system. She has to face her mortality. The rest of y'all just have the idea of your death, which is bullshit.
I mean, maybe dead in a year, I get it.
See? She gets it.
No, don't say that.
See, now you want to soothe her, because you can't be with her in that reality if she might be dead in a year.
You guys have no idea.
See?
Every day when I wake up, I'm like, I could be dead. This thing could grow back at any time and
any
it will
moment.
Take my life.
Yes.
And when we soothe her, we're denying her the ability to feel that, right? Like, I mean, Leslie.
You're not witnessing it. She feels it.
Right.
She feels it.
Right.
The pain's already there. She's trying to share it, to express it, to integrate it. If you guys don't hear it and give space, then it amplifies her separateness, and it limits her integration of the story.
I'm finally getting what you're talking about, that it's really selfish to be an empath, right? Like, I'm really getting the connection from last week to this week, because anytime we're taking focus off of what the other person is sharing, we're being selfish.
Yes, it's all about your show, your consumerism.
Right. Us fixing the day.
Yes, you being the hero.
We can fix everything, can't we?
Yes, until it's some illness that doesn't have a solution. Then you guys run and act like you don't and create a story of how you're loving or whatever the fuck you do. The world's cold. Really.
Yeah, like that was the last thing my narc said to me. I will never leave you, ever.
Boom.
Wow. Freak.
Sometimes the trash takes itself out. You should be glad.
I will never leave you, Stacy, ever.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes, when you're not under stress. How is that the case if all of our saving the day is happening in secret? Well, you can think, you can not act out your codependent tendencies, and you create the story. That's number 3, which I don't know if we'll get to. We've been getting to number 3 indirectly, but I haven't pointed it out. So we do internally create a story and interpret it, and that creates psychological distance. That reinforces a fantasy in our head and doesn't resync to reality, because resyncing to reality is painful. It's depressing. It opens up new wounds and destroys your sense of reality and makes you fall into this giant spiral, and that's very not pleasant. Codependence like candy and sugar and ice cream and sweet stuff. Yeah. Because they want that story to live, and they're scared of death of that story. They're not scared of death of you, because you're more than that crappy story. You don't want that story to die. You don't want your fantasy to die. But your story is like childhood fantasy, which you can even rationalize, and then you beat yourself up for holding on to this story. It's like very entertaining from the outside. But it doesn't make sense. But. So now 4.8, I said I had a goal of 4.10, so maybe 4.15, but we're almost there. So now I have a long journey of caretaking from my dad with my mom. And my mom's not a natural caretaker. She's not nurturing. So the whole year of handling this wound, I had to tend to my own finger amputation wound by myself, because my mom and my dad totally checked out. They don't know how to handle medical care. They didn't even, I just talked to my mom a couple days ago. She doesn't even know the details of the whole night, where I went, which hospital. She didn't even remember it back then, and she didn't remember it now.
How did you feel about that?
I focused on what I needed to do. Fuck my feelings. Fuck your feelings. We gotta live. When real life or death situations, who the fuck cares about your feelings? You gotta live or you gotta die, so you better act. If you can feel your feelings and stew in your feelings, you don't have trauma. It's bullshit. Right, Leslie?
Ugh.
See? 5 minutes. We'll do the reveal and we'll finish, and then we'll see how many people are shocked. So my dad had a slow decline, and then the slow decline meant he had less personal control. So his sleeping patterns started being erratic. Bathroom patterns got erratic. He needed to go to the bathroom, but he didn't have the predictor, so he'd want to rush to the bathroom to take a piss, but he wouldn't get there in time. So it'd be on the bed or the floor or the whatever, so we'd have to figure out workarounds of that. Then he'd wake up in the middle of the night and be hungry because his sleeping patterns were erratic. He slept in one room and my mom slept in another room. That was their norm. So mom would sleep in a room and then we're not. But then if he's waking up in the middle of the night, he doesn't know how to find food and prepare food because he's got instant Alzheimer's. It's very complicated to find food and put it in the microwave and prepare it and whatever. Mom could have set it up that way, but he doesn't know how to follow that. We could make a list of instructions, but it wouldn't work. So then my life gets disrupted where I'm sleeping in the dining room.
Ugh.
But I'm a Reiki practitioner, so I bought some massage tables. So I just put a massage table there. Now I'm sleeping in the dining room, sort of keeping watch, on guard, and nurturing. And it's just this unknown uncertainty. There's no roadmap of, is this going to last 2.5 years? Is this going to improve like Dr. Yan says it's going to get better? Or is it going to drag out for 10, 20, 30 years? Who the fuck knows? This is a life of caregiving.
Coronavirus.
This is what you're in, coronavirus, and you're freaking out after 2 weeks. So I'm laughing at y'all. I've already done this. And it was personal, right in front of my face every day.
Yep.
Not just that, he's declining slowly, and new symptoms pop up. So he's declining, new symptoms, his sense of reality gets distorted. So memory things kick in, and then he gets distortions and exaggerations. He's not evaluating the situation objectively and rationally. Except it's a mental disease. It's not a narcissism, personality disorder. It's an actual degradation of his brain cells. So I can't cling to this story of saying, oh, if I can just explain it to my dad, then he'll finally get it. His brain's falling apart. We don't know why, they don't know why, but we have to handle the junk. Fuck the damn medical doctors who can just hang out in their ivory tower and say, oh, we can do a test. Then you got to handle the mess. So now the messy story. Here's the most dramatic part of a messy story. Or not the most, but one of the most dramatic parts. To illustrate there's no language for pain. So as he declined, he would get hungry at different times during the day. And then he was still mobile at the time. At the end, later on, he lost his mobility and his body got rigid. But this is before that. So he'd wake up at different hours of the night and whatnot and find food. And before he got really disabled, he went out wandering. This is a common Alzheimer's trait. Early in Alzheimer's, some people would like go out and drive a car and wander and get lost, and then it's up to the family members to go find them. So imagine you're taking care of a family member, they have Alzheimer's, they drive away. Hasn't degraded enough, so they know how to get somewhere, but they forget how to get home. Then you as a caregiver have to figure out how to mop up their mess. Can't use these self-soothing words of trying to explain it. You got to handle the damn problem. They run into something, run over somebody, run over a cat. You got to handle it. You can't blame it on the Alzheimer's person. You can, but no one cares. So he wanders. We freak out. We don't know what to do. I got no experience. My mind got no experience. We're looking around, and we don't know what to do because we didn't prepare for it. Didn't see it coming. Doctor didn't tell us. I didn't go enough support group meetings. I was wrong. Didn't do good enough. He came back, so that was okay. But later on, now there's an escalation because now I put the house on lockdown more. And then put some name cards and stuff, so if he does run out and gets lost and whatnot, the people know how to contact us. So I tried to do some prevention stuff. But I can't control his delusions. So his delusions come up to a point, to one time where he gets angry at us because he doesn't like his freedom being restricted. So he goes something like, you guys aren't taking care of me here. I'm hungry. It's easy to feed me when I'm hungry. What's wrong with you guys? I'm overwhelming y'all. I can do it better. Let me go out and find my own job and take care of myself. I can do it. That's it.
Right.
And he's got all this anger and frustration believing this story. And he's directing his anger at me and my mom, at us. I take it personally. Not just, I don't take it personally. My emotions take it personally. My limbic system, my invisible pain takes it personally. Because my life is upended. I'm already broken from my past traumas and isolated And I'm putting all my heart into trying to navigating this fuck up between the margins mess of medical caregiving. What you guys are starting with coronavirus. I was fully immersed, but I had no shared suffering with anyone else. So I'm doing the best I can. He's not saying I'm doing the best I can. He's getting angry. Not just that, he's threatening to leave, causing more escalation of containment strategies for me to contain him or try to prevent himself from doing stupid shit, which his brain can't help. How do you handle this? So he's escalating. Mom's checking out because that's what she does. I'm absorbing the energy. And then I redirect anger. Where do I redirect anger? I redirect it at him or redirect it at me? What do I do? Here's a reveal. I went over 5 minutes. So any guesses?
Yourself.
I do it by myself. Good. How do I do it? I do it without words.
Depression.
That's not exciting.
You blame yourself.
I play martyr. I don't blame myself. I defend myself. Like, oh, I haven't done enough. I haven't hurt myself enough.
Right.
I've done all this. So I escalate on me. But I'm doing this without language because it's in the moment. I'm confused. I'm tired. I'm chaotic. He's escalating, dumping irrational bullshit on me. He's in a delusion. I can't fix his delusion. So I'm triggered. I'm triggered. I go with it. I go more crazy. So I'm in the kitchen. He's in the kitchen dining table. I go for a device to escalate. And he guesses.
A
No one
knife.
sees it coming. Knife.
She said a knife.
So I take this knife. I verified with
Wow.
my mom today. It was this knife. She don't remember any of the rest of the story. So I pulled this knife out. We still use it. And I threatened to self-cut myself. See? Carlos also, yeah. This is great for cooking, but also this is a very dangerous weapon to threaten to stab yourself. Lost my sense of self, got caught up in the moment, acted it out. Why? Because there's no language for pain. And pain is invisible. He was caught up in his pain, in his story, not seeing my pain. So I did one of those codependent things like, oh, woe is me. Why doesn't the narcissist see my pain? Let me go spill all my guts on fellow codependents and make other people dissociate. Except I do it more excitingly with a blade because it's more fun. You guys spin stories and just, that's not exciting. Why don't you amp it up if you're going to whine about your pain?
Next time I'll bring a prop. Thanks for the
use a
advice.
prop. End of story.
What? No, what did you?
No, because we want to hear the end of the real story of
Yeah,
what
what
happened
did you
after
do
you
with the knife?
threatened that.
Nothing. Mom soothed it and Dad didn't escalate. It was just an outburst.
Oh, they didn't come with a white jacket with the arms in the back?
Who? It's just me, my mom, and my dad.
Whom?
My dad's going to call up psychotherapists. No one cares about caregivers. No one even cared about my dad. This is the life of the sick and the mentally ill. They're invisible to America. We just want to throw them out.
That sounds like a soap opera. The sick and the mentally ill.
What do you think homeless people are? Homeless people are the people that used to be in mental institutions. Now they're living on the streets.
It's not always like
Yeah,
that.
not all homeless people are mentally
See,
ill.
I
They
escalated
might be
to
by
the
now.
blade, and now where we are. Where did the attention go? I set up and then I escalated, tried to share my pain, to give language to my pain. And I knew I was going to fail. I knew you guys were going to be a sucky audience.
It's so sweet.
And then after I gave the reveal,
When you talk like that,
then
it's
you
just so
guys
mushy.
you guys are talking about little semantical details because you can't stay with me in the pain. This pain is from fucking 2008. I'm over it.
I got your pain. All of it.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to be entertained. You don't need to share this burden.
I'm not. I don't feel the burden, and
talk to my
I'm
mom
entertained.
to remember
Thank you for the
story.
entertainment.
Because the story helps you contain these instructions.
Was that? Do you
Well,
feel
what happened with the knife?
Effective approach.
It's right here.
No. I
use
mean,
the knife every day.
What happened? What did back then? What happened?
I pulled it out. I threatened to cut myself, but I didn't.
You escalated.
I acted out.
Okay, so nothing actually physical happened with the knife.
Not in this story. I have other stories where something physically happened, but that would really trigger you people. So I thought this would be more tolerable.
There you
but
go
still
again.
isn't.
It's so sweet.
I have physical stories where I've been beaten up or run over and stuff, but you guys can't handle that.
I can't.
The Saturn retrograde? No. Go ahead.
So
You guys can't handle the actual abuse stories.
yeah. So I feel it in my solar plexus. That's where I feel it. Like it's just sitting with me there, and it's not going away. It's just sitting there.
And that's good because the story is designed to resonate with some wound you have and make it okay for you to make space for it.
So Dee, I'm really confused. You did not actually injure yourself that night. This is all, like, everything you told up to the point of telling it is truth, but where my mind went to fill in the gap, so to speak, is not actually, like, nothing happened after the threat.
After the threat, we had like a year and a half more of torture every day. Drawn out caregiving. That's worse. I would have preferred to cut myself and had some injury than endure the year and a half drawn out torture of caregiving for someone who's dying slowly, and it's just coming and coming and you got no idea. Which is better? You think some cut story and injury is better than have a year and a half, two more years of watching someone's body decay right in front of you?
No, I was just trying to understand. I guess I thought, so there's some other way to explain the injury, right? This is not that story.
Which injury?
Oh, are you not missing fingers? I could just.
That was from 2002.
Okay.
That's another story. That story I don't think you guys are ready for. I started out trying to think of sharing that, but then.
So did you cut your fingers off?
That's another story. So this story that you know the details about, you guys can't hold space for, and you are distracted by this other story.
I think I held space for it.
Oh, see, and that was enough, and I want to move on to this next story. That's not holding space.
I'm holding space. I have questions.
That's not holding the
kind
space.
Of
so,
but bring it. Let's see if they're.
So this was a defense tactic that you used, Dee?
It's not a defense tactic. You still don't know 1 and 2. Pain is invisible inherently. And there's no language for pain. So since there's no language for pain, you act it out pre-verbally.
Okay. And that's
human nature, not just narcissists, codependents, not just trigger people. This is what we do when pain gets too intense. Everybody, even me.
What should we do?
There's no should to do. This is being human. This is what happens. The more you reject this stuff, you're trying to be a saint, and you're trying to reject your humanity, and you're rejecting the narcissist's humanity. And that mantra is way worse than my mantras. And it's going to cause you a hell life on earth.
So this is comprehension.
What's comprehension?
The idea that escalating proverbial pain because you cannot, there is no language for it, it's invisible. And so this is a means, a natural means of acting out what your pain is.
It's a backup, it's a go-to. Pain needs to be felt. If pain isn't that strong, you can numb it. But life can always escalate more pain, or other people can escalate more pain. And once pain gets too strong, you run out of language.
Can you expand or go into repeat or go into detail about what did you say? We're denying our humanity, but
Yes.
also let's say we're involved with someone who's narcissistic, we're also denying their humanity as well. Can you
Yes.
explain that a little bit more?
Which part?
Both of it. Both.
Which part to start with?
Start with how we're denying ourselves.
Okay, so if pain is naturally invisible and there's no language for pain, then you do number 3, but we're not going to explain that yet because that's not your question.
Okay.
We've been explaining number 3, but we haven't made it a rule. But there's a number 3 observation, which is what everyone's doing. But you can't read it.
Yeah, what does that say? I can't see it.
Too bad.
Oh.
Back to your question.
This is deep on alcohol. Read it.
You encouraged me to pour more.
I did not. That was somebody else. I would never be a bad influence.
This is recorded.
Oh, oops.
We have evidence. We can go back.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. So you're denying your humanity. If you're going to say, I should have been able to communicate my pain when you act it out, your inner critic is judging yourself. How could I share it? What's wrong with the other person not seeing it? It's impossible by nature. Intense emotional pain destroys your language capacity.
I could see that. Okay.
Not only does it destroy your language capacity, it increases separation from the other person. The other person doesn't see your pain, can't see your pain by default.
Because if it's too painful, they're going to automatically detach from it just to self-protect, right?
They have to work to attach. By default, it's detached. That's the argument. The pain by default is detached.
Okay.
And when pain increases, you lose language.
Okay.
So by default, it's detached. When you lose language, you act out, which triggers that other person's pain. So then that other person's focusing on their pain. They're even more distracted from.
So we're actually fooling ourselves.
Yes. Say more.
We think we are connected. We tell ourselves that we feel the other person's pain, but we're actually not. we're working to try to feel it.
No, you're working
but we still continue to
not
center
feel your
ourselves.
pain that's coming up in your system.
Well, we definitely don't feel their pain.
So yeah, definitely you don't feel their pain.
All right.
Ryan.
Question, Dave.
Question.
So let's say you feel the pain in yourself related because that triggered that event, or that listening to the story triggered a pain.
Yes.
And then you recognize where that comes, and then you recognize like where that comes from, right? And
you investigate. Okay.
Right, and then you go, okay, so I can trace that back to maybe a similar situation, right?
Okay.
So then it's like then you have to work on resolving that within yourself, right? So is that the example that you're setting? Is that each time that when the discomfort comes up, that you sit with it and try to figure it out until you have less of those experiences.
Well, once you integrate those pains that come up in your system that's triggered by other people or life situations, then those pains are resolved. That burden is gone.
Say that again.
Once you pay attention to your wounds, your unresolved emotions, you integrate them, make sense of them, find expression for them, then that trigger is neutralized.
And then you react less to narcissists or other people.
Other people in pain, or
one more time.
Reminding.
This feels really big.
Yeah, one more
huge,
time.
But it's boring. That's the problem.
No,
Can I get? Can
it's
I?
all about triggers.
Okay, I'll give it a shot to explain it right.
There you go.
So when
Brian first.
All right. So when Dave was explaining his experience, everyone on the call that was paying attention was feeling pain in
their pain. He's breaking up.
They may not. You may not. Yeah, your own individual pain. You see, everyone on the call felt some pain associated with listening to the story, whether they recognized it or not. And if you got distracted and talked about other things, there was a good chance you were feeling the pain, not want to address it. The whole point is to reflect internally on how you felt emotionally when Dave was telling the story, instead of trying to change the topic into something else. And the point is to really feel the pain and experience it and shut your eyes and feel where it is in your body. And try to figure out why you're not. Dave was, when he was having that experience, you're feeling that way because he is triggering an event in your history that's causing that pain to come up within you. Is that?
And then what got you to not feeling the trigger? Like Dee said something else then after that around how you can actually resolve your trigger. That totally made sense, Brian. Thank you.
Well,
you're breaking up, Brian.
I didn't say
anything. Are you
anything.
asking me? Who are you asking?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Well, you're breaking up when you were talking, but the second part, when I was saying, is that to resolve your own triggers, you have to wait until your triggers come into awareness. Well, that's my go-to. You guys can actually you can actively visualize and trigger your triggers. So you guys got so many, and you guys got so much better at visualization skills than me. So you can trigger yourself. I can't trigger myself because when I get triggered, I try to process. So anything I can trigger myself is already integrated.
Mina just asked a really good question.
Surprise triggers.
Mina just asked a great question. Did you see that?
Well, that's a future tough question. So I'll put that as a teaser. That's a future request. So the integration part is part of what Brian was saying, is that when you get triggered by somebody else's story or some situation, you have to see how much of your reaction is from your unprocessed or your need to integrate. And the more you can make space for your feelings, be curious about them, have empathy for yourself, follow that empathy map from last week for you and your inner child through whatever modality you want. IFS therapy, sitting with the emotion, EMDR. There's multiple ways of being with your inner child. Then you have to have some level of expression, usually, before the integration. So most modalities have some level of expression. You act it out, you speak it out, you draw it out. You got to have some level of purging. Then you have a level of catharsis, usually. Then it's sort of discharge. It's integrated. Then that triggers neutralized. And you do that as a practice, then you don't have to defend yourself for every single next evil narcissist attack, because your trigger is neutralized. Or you can spot their gaming stuff and you just move a little. You don't need to overreact so much and be an idiot and blame everybody else.
So something that might, can you hear me more clearly now?
That's good.
So one exercise that might be helpful, and keep me right, Deef, if this is correct, would be for each individual on the call, when you were listening to Deef's story, right, especially at the end, is can you identify how you felt when you were listening to the story, and where that sensation was in your body?
Localize it in your body.
Then, close your eyes to block out external stimuli and really try to sit with that feeling, right, until it peaks, because it's going to get stronger when you focus on it. And then try to identify, well, I'm not really feeling this because of Deef's story. I'm feeling this because there's something else in my life's history that's triggering this within myself. And then you need to sit with that and process that. And I think that's the exercise.
So go to the body, localize the sensation, sit with the feeling or investigate underneath the sensation. Then do some level of inquiry. Is there something else? Where is this attached? Then sit with that or make space for that. Yeah, processing. $440. We're over time, but I'm okay.
I have a quick question.
Feel free to go.
Deef,
James.
Thanks, Steve. A moment ago, you were talking about how the pain is detached from. So just to clarify, what is the pain detached from?
Keep going. Or
Do
what did
you
I say?
remember?
I'm not sure. Detached from the other or from yourself?
I don't know. Just a moment ago, we were talking something about. I think it was talking about pain being detached from. And then I wasn't quite sure.
Did anybody else hear this or remember it?
A few minutes ago, we were talking about.
But everybody else is here, so they
Yeah,
can add
anybody.
some context if you don't remember. We got nothing. So let me guess, since we got nothing. Pain is detached from the other person. The other person's pain you're totally oblivious to. You start out detached. Maybe I said that. You don't start out
You did say that.
attached.
Yeah, that's what you said.
And then you get overwhelmed,
yeah.
and then you detach. No, pain is invisible to others. That's the starting point.
Okay, I think I got you now. Yeah, okay.
So then you're detached.
Yeah.
Then if you're not triggered and you're curious and you're engaging, you can start an intellectual,
Right.
rational.
So, yeah, so detachment is the default state.
Yes. Coronavirus. Toilet paper. You're going to get your toilet paper first.
So, and in other words, so that means it actually takes work, intention and work to attach.
Yes, but it also takes personal work. If you're triggered, by nature, you're going to save yourself first. So you got to be self-stable before you can help somebody else. It's not just work, or not just work and helping the other person. You got to be an individual. That's sort of Jeff's observation. You got to get out of enmeshment. If by default your boundaries suck, you're going to fall into other people's stuff. You can't help people. You're just going to randomly do stuff and probably make it worse.
Because actually what you're feeling is because you're actually feeling your own pain in that moment. You're not it's not the other person's pain, right? And so if you haven't done your work, if you haven't resolved your pain, that's what's driving you.
Yes. You're self-centered. You're egocentric. Can't help it.
That's so interesting. So the other day I had a friend call with a problem and I got all worked up and triggered about it. And I actually stopped and said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," because my response, I'm triggered. So I can't answer this question the right way because I'm not detached.
You're not objective enough.
Right, that's a better word. I wasn't objective enough. And I called myself out on it. I'm like, I don't even know that I can help.
See, that's progress. Good job.
So in a way, you have to make sure that you yourself are on a solid foundation before you can reach out and help somebody else.
Another rule. People love rules.
We can
really nothing to do. Holding space is so effortless, but you guys want to add rules and be in control or add this, be safe. Why are you guys such hard workers? Why can't you just be chill?
The space is the absence of stuff. If stuff's coming up, it's our own stuff, right? Yeah. That's what we just need to understand. And so we're not holding space if we're experiencing stuff.
You just got to make space for your stuff. Doesn't matter if you're making space for somebody else or you. You guys are space stupid.
Again, you're so sweet.
And now you're trying to make holding space complicated. It's not complicated. It's an innate knowledge. You just learn by doing. It's a little OJT. You learn by doing, but it's an energy of ease. Not an energy of fixing.
Is sympathizing a part of holding space?
You can do it in a holding space way. Most people don't.
Can you give us an example?
No.
Okay.
We're at 4:45. Where do y'all want to go, or where do you want to close this?
Ugh. Can we close it with the trigger? Like how we're triggered and how we have to keep calm if we're triggered with, people or narcissists or whoever we might meet.
About the trigger, repeat it again.
Like how are we not affected when something triggers us?
How are we not affected? You want a shortcut?
How can we not let it affect us when a trigger, like your story or, whatever story triggers us, how do we be in a safe place when that happens,
How do we be in a safe place when you're triggered? And then Alex has a request to have some positivity, something. Positive spin. How is this not a positive spin already? This is like ridiculous.
I actually thought that this was a great meeting because we really got to see, like, at least for me, it was such a great example to see our own dysfunction playing out.
This is hard. This is no one's done this topic. I couldn't copy somebody else. I had to make shit up.
This was really like dead on. I really got to see like how we couldn't even sit in the space. And even though we think, it's coming from a good place, it doesn't really matter. We're still not holding space. And we didn't even hold space for you. Like it was effort. We had to work for that.
Yes.
That was such a huge wake-up call for me. Thank you for that.
At first, it's an effortful practice. You got to put effort to hold space. But inherently, it's effortless. You're just so used to doing effort.
But was it holding space for you or holding space for ourselves?
Well, yeah, the holding space for yourself you can't do. But you focused on trying to manipulate my space. Your own space you've abandoned. You've cut off. You forgot
Well,
yourself.
Yeah, but we're just trying to pretend that we're holding space for you,
Yes.
but really it's up for ourselves.
Yes, sure. Okay, number 3. We didn't get to number 3. Number 4 is sort of number 1. Number 4 is pain cannot be denied by the person in pain. And then the pain cannot be confirmed by the other person.
Right.
So inherently, when you have pain, you're absolutely certain you have it. But everybody else you talk to is in doubt. And it's up to you to advocate your case so that they're not in doubt.
Right.
That's number 4, but that's sort of number 1. Number 3 is what you all have been doing. So because number 1 and 2 are so painful, and number 4 is painful, people go to number 3. Number 3, the way they frame it in this book, is they have a verbal strategy. They use this weapon to compensate for this lack of language, for pain. You can't describe the language. So you create stories about agency, language of agency. It's a verbal strategy, but it's an internalization strategy. It has a positive that allows you to keep your sense of self and be stable in the pain when you have these two things. When pain is overwhelming, you have no language, no presence. It gives you space.
Go on mute, Leslie.
Yeah.
Muted. Gives you space. That's a positive aspect. But the negative aspect of number 3 is it pushes your pain more invisible. Not just to other people, but to you. Pushes your pain more invisible. And then you guys are, because the pain's in your shadow, you're terrified of getting triggered, but your language of agency hid the pain into your shadow. Your agency language hid the pain of you in your consciousness into your unconscious. And then you become afraid of you actively put the pain into your unconscious. Put it for future. Put it on the shelf. You did it by the language of agency. That this person did it with intention. I did it with intention. I got to fix it this way. You created a story narrative. How everyone was conscious. How number 1 and number 2 are false. You created a story. I don't want to agree with these 1 or 2 human nature parts. I'm better than human. The narcissist is better than human. So you create a story to personalize it and make it really dramatic and exciting. Puts it in your shadow or dumps it on somebody else. But then you're in constant fear of the future, of getting triggered again. That's the downside.
So then you lose yourself.
Of agency. Yeah, then you have no self because all you're doing is keeping this in play. This story of agency, which is your old zombie self that wants to die. And you're constantly resuscitating it and finding new narcissists to keep that old pattern continuing. You don't want that to die.
So that means you could have the illusion of feeling empathy.
Yeah. That illusion continues, and you're very empathetic to this sub-personality or sub-role of you, which is fun. It's nice, sort of works, but long-term, it's agonizing to watch from afar if you don't make it dramatic and entertaining for me.
And the anxiety that we may feel in the present, to something else you just said, is the connection to future pain, right? Like
because this isn't working. I'm challenging number 3. I'm challenging your belief system of everything explained by agency, by intention, and then you just have to get better, or you have to train other people to be better, and then the pain is managed. This model is challenging the framework of all your stories.
Is anybody else stuck on 3? I'm having trouble with 3.
Which part? All of it? What?
Kind of all of it. Like, are you saying 3 makes sense? It should make sense. Are you challenging 3 as in it, as we shouldn't believe it, or you're saying no, we should understand 3?
No, number 3 is an observation about human nature. This is an observation of how people behave universally under intense physical pain. One strategy or one response that's pretty universal is they create a language of agency. They create a story so they can help process and contain the pain. I added that that's a sort of way of dumping into the shadow. I have other material that reinforces that view. Or shadow is also putting in the future. So the more adaptive ways, you can wait to deal with it tomorrow. So you don't want to act out today. You can say, I don't want to feel it today. I'll give it an hour tomorrow. That'd be a more adaptive way. But you guys, the less adaptive way is you dump into your shadow and then you create a story where I just have to do better in the future, make new rules. I just have to go heal my narcissist. And then magic happens.
So the story isn't the same thing like you were talking before about resolving triggers, which is some cathartic way of releasing. Like you're actually talking, like I was thinking when you were saying story, this was our release, this was our catharsis around the pain. But that's
no. Number 3 is not catharsis. Number 3 is containment strategy. It's what you guys are doing when you're looking to give advice to each other. You're in control. All you have to do is believe this or think about this. Don't think that way. Those are all language of agency. Those are all ego narratives that reinforce your ego, which typically are victim narratives where you say, oh, you're the innocent victim. You're such a nice codependent. You're such a nice empath. And the demon is the narcissist who's actively trying to hunt you down and punish you. And their whole meaning in life is to torture you.
They are
That's
demons.
See?
Okay.
That's all a language of agency. It's a strategy. It's a containment strategy for pain. This was just observations of how human nature handles pain.
well, if you don't have these containment strategies, then you're opening yourself up to the fact that there is no control. That you know.
There is no control.
Right, like that. So if that's what
true.
you're trying to have us to
You're not
understand,
opening yourself up to no control. You're fooling yourself that there is control. That's the language of agency. To fool yourself that you're entitled Americans who don't have to worry about coronavirus, don't have to worry about Venezuela, you don't have to worry about Israel and Jerusalem bombing each other, because you're in a first world country and you're just entitled to have your internet and Netflix and have whatever the fuck you want. And you don't have to worry about your neighbors until coronavirus. Now you have to worry about your neighbors. And you're whining.
so the other way to look at it is pain is inescapable. We will experience pain, right? We may put all kinds of tactics and strategies around fooling us into thinking we can avoid pain, but we will have pain.
Sure, if you need to tell yourself that. John's heading out, maybe. I don't know. He left the eye. He left us hanging. Left me hanging. What's the eye?
Yeah, but his
Why are you
son's
making it
so
hanging?
cute.
What's
Did
the
you
eye
see
mean?
them hugging?
Oh,
It
okay.
was so adorable.
Oh, the kid. Yeah, so you participated that way. So John's heading out.
It was actually very sweet.
Thank you, everybody. This was really valuable. I really appreciate it. I'm just sorry that my attendance was so spotty. I do hope to be able to look at look at it more in detail later, or at least follow up.
It's worth reviewing, and then after talk or feedback, that's where it sinks in.
Yeah, they're definitely worth reviewing this one.
All right. Well, I have to go. Thanks.
Have a
If we
great
had more time.
Thank you.
Stay healthy.
You
and
too.
we had more readiness, then I could have painted the spiritual path. I opened the door to Stacy yesterday, but there's actually other models of how this process of the feminine side of love, the unfolding part of holding space, and just being in this love space of belonging and longing is a return energy to your soul. It's a deconstruction energy that naturally dissolves your ego. And it's a natural yearning that gets amplified during heartbreak. But no time.
Another day.
Please do talk about that another day, though.
Yeah, I'll make a mental note. Yeah. So you got to balance out the joys and sorrow, exactly. So love isn't just joys. There is a belonging and yearning part of love that can be savored. It has an adaptive quality to your soul or to your integration that connects you to God. The sort of feeling of sorrow and belonging, and that the Christian model of saying you're born broken, you're born sinful, you're born with the awareness of separation between you and God. So if you can sit in that amplified space of separation, which gets the door opening of heartbreak. When you're heartbroken, you have a little window open. That can transform you, and that can hold so much more pain. And that's the link to your purpose.
Is to endure pain.
No. It's not about the ego. It's not about the spirit. This is soul. This is the depths of your soul connecting with the depths of the earth. No one talks about it, or a few people talk about it, but American culture is a very masculine love energy, ego-directed, possessive, getting, growing, owning, very spiritual, a lot of hot air, a lot of fluffy language that you have to constantly talk because it's all hot air. You constantly have to pump up the balloon. It's constantly deflating. Spiritual practices.
All right, Leslie, you have to go back on mute.
Muted.
Thank you.
Book and title for which? This one, or you want deeper spiritual
The
practices?
book on pain, I think, is what he's talking about.
Yeah, the one about the agency.
Oh, this
Is
has
that
the
the
rule number 3 on agency.
Okay.
Or observation number 3. It's not a rule, it's just an observation. Those are the 4 points the book covers. What's up? 5. Oh, how's this sound? My bells don't work because the microphone doesn't pick it.
What is that?
Pick up the rattle.
Bye, Cherie.
Bye.
Breathing.